And Jared Halpern, Fox News.
At the House.
On this vote, the yeas are 241, the nays are 184.
A party-line vote approving $622 million for the fight against Zika, which is a virus blamed for birth defects. But the money Republicans okayed is $500 million less than what the Senate's considering, just a third of what President Obama wants. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
In Chicago, we have a moonlit sky and 45 degrees at 5:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. A group of city officials wants to get rid of the TSA at Chicago's two airports. Four aldermen introducing a resolution calling for privatized passenger screening at O'Hare and Midway. The mayor is expected and scheduled to meet with the director of the TSA tomorrow. A 12-year-old boy is recovering after he was shot outside a restaurant on Chicago's near west side. The child wounded in the leg last night when someone in an SUV opened fire near Western and Adams. A Schaumburg woman given 4 years in prison for killing her disabled daughter. Bonnie Liltz was sentenced yesterday after pleading guilty to involuntary manslaughter. Authorities say a father and two children were killed instantly when their pickup and an Amtrak train bound for Chicago collided in a small Mississippi town. The collision happened in Flora, according to Amtrak, about 25 miles northwest of Jackson, Mississippi, in Madison County. There were no injuries to the Chicago-bound crew or 127 passengers on board. Hundreds of union supporters are rallying outside the Illinois Capitol. They're protesting Governor Bruce Rauner's calls to change collective bargaining policies. Meantime, Governor Rauner is signaling a cool reception to legislation that raises the base salary for home care workers in the state to $15 an hour. The workers belong to the SEIU Healthcare Illinois Union and could continue negotiating wages above $15 an hour, but the Illinois House approved that base salary, $67 to $44 on Wednesday. The governor's office says the bargaining table is the place to settle wages, not in the legislature. Illinois lawmakers have approved a bill that would restrict how law enforcement agencies use devices that mimic cell phone towers to track phone locations in criminal investigations. The measure would require that police get a warrant before using cell site simulators known as Stingrays. That bill is headed to the governor's desk. Chicago sports. Cubs back on the right track. They beat Milwaukee 2-1. Houston bit the stumbling White Sox again, 5-3. WNBA. It was Minnesota over the Sky, 97-80. Steph Curry, 15 straight points. He finished with 28. It's Golden State ripped Oklahoma City, 118-91, evening the NBA's Western Conference Finals at a game each. The news is a service of the city of Sheboygan, Wisconsin. In Sheboygan, Wisconsin, there really is no traffic, and the weather's always perfect for something: biking, surfing, art museums, culinary experiences, and fun, all just a couple of hours' drive away. Get out-of-town information at visitsheboygan.com. 5:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
So Trump says Hillary is playing the gender card. Hillary thinks Trump is abusive to women. Hillary gets her personal newspaper, the New York Times, to write a 9-page story about it. Trump thinks Hillary's hubby was the abuser-in-chief and claims Hillary turned on the victims. Earth to candidates. We don't care. We do care about defending this country against terrorism, rebuilding the military, controlling the border, and creating good jobs. Let's talk about that. Give us a plan. That might get you elected. Stick around for more good ideas. AM 560. The Answer.
Now that spring has arrived, it's likely you're looking forward to the warmer weather. But if you're a business owner, facilities manager, or maintenance engineer, you risk the same potential problem every year: a complete system failure. In fact, up to half of all commercial air conditioning units fail upon startup each season due to the lack of regular maintenance and repair. Let the professionals at Air Comfort make a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system before there's a problem. A poorly operating air conditioning system results in uneven temperatures and humidity problems, leading to unhealthy mold and mildew growth. Don't compromise your business's overall air quality. Schedule today with Air Comfort. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Even if you're under contract with another provider, let Air Comfort provide your second opinion. After all, there's a reason why hundreds of businesses have trusted trusted Air Comfort with their mechanical maintenance for more than 80 years. That's Air Comfort, a tradition of excellence since 1935.
5:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the latest this morning with Jim Talamonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. In the city of Chicago, there is some heavy police activity in the West Loop. The intersection of Harris and Jefferson is blocked off right now. Bloomingdale, starting today, you'll have paving work going on Glen Ellen Road, in Army Trail and Lake Street. The expressways and tollways, things are pretty clear right now. Overnight road work is gone pretty much throughout the area. No delays to report on the Edens, the Kennedy, or the Eisenhower. The Stevenson and the Ryan, just fine. Same goes for I-57 to the Bishop Ford. The Illinois tollways have no issues at the moment. I-80 is clear. You do have some slow traffic on the Indiana Toll Road with that construction, especially eastbound from the Portage exit to State Road 39 in pockets, and westbound 421 before the Portage exit. Traffic is a service of Cabela's. Don't miss Cabela's Memorial Day sale. Kick off the summer with huge savings, like 50% off Cabela's Deluxe Flotation Vest, 20% off select Keen footwear. Join them for the Hometown Heroes celebration Thursday through Sunday in Hoffman Estates or Hammond and Cabela's.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Mostly sunny today with a high of 68 and a moonlit night, low 46. Partial sunshine tomorrow with a high 69 and a partly cloudy night with a low 48. Clouds and sun for Saturday, high 71. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently clear and 43 at O'Hare, 48 along the lake, 41 this morning in Aurora. And your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Kelly Financial Services, helping you secure your financial future today. Visit kellyfinancialservicesinc.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, as Mike Scott was reporting at the top, the disappearance of that Egypt Air jet over the Mediterranean Sea overnight while you were sleeping, disappearance. It reportedly crashed into the Mediterranean Sea. This was an Egypt Air flight from Paris to Cairo with 56 passengers and 10 crew on board, all presumed deceased.
Yeah, it took off. It left Paris at 11 o'clock at night, and the last contact they had was with the Greek aviation officials, and they said 2 minutes after they passed from Greek airspace into Egyptian airspace, it just disappeared off the radar.
Right, so there's no distress call, which is really important because it suggests that the pilots didn't think there was anything wrong.
Well, that's up for debate because the Egyptian army is saying that there might have been a distress call.
Well,
so I mean, it's still a fluid situation.
Might have been, right. But if there was not, as was initially reported, then of course that raises the specter that there perhaps was some kind of attack that downed this plane. And of course, it calls to mind the Egypt airplane that left Sharm el-Sheikh, a resort area in Egypt, last year. And ultimately, it was determined that that was a terrorist attack in targeting Russian nationals in particular. Remember, Russia banned Egypt Air from Russian airspace after that terrorist attack that downed that Egypt airplane. So,
but it was flying at 37,000 feet, which is supposed to be the safe space where you're not taking off or landing. It was 175 miles off the coast of Egypt. There are 15 French nationals on board, and so far the Egyptian government has not asked French authorities for help. But French authorities they're at Charles de Gaulle Airport. They're questioning baggage handlers. They're questioning people who took, the food and beverage carts on to the aircraft. And because Charles de Gaulle, I didn't know this, 80,000 people are employed there. And last year they had this stinging report. They had a number of people on the terrorist watch list that were working at the airport. I mean, really, it's its own city. And those people have been, subsequently been fired. But that's all that French officials can do right now because they're ready. They're waiting to stand by to help, but they have not been asked to help. We'll actually search for the wreckage.
We'll find out. We'll continue to update the story as information becomes available, and if it does turn out to be
what they think it is.
Well, if it does turn out to be the result of some kind of attack, then all of these questions that we have to ask over and over again with respect to airport security, with respect to interdicting radical Islamic terror and terrorists more generally, will have to be questioned, or will have to be asked again, and Egypt will have some explaining to do as well. But this is all premature. We just don't know yet.
But it's an Airbus.
We've gone through this before.
I know.
So we'll see.
An Airbus A320 was built in 2003. And again, it had 66 people on board. And also had three, the equivalent of our air marshals. That's what I don't know exactly what they're called, but security personnel who are flying civilian, but they also can carry. So that's.
But what was the bracket number on the engine turbines on that plane? Since you're giving me all the particulars.
No, I just. Well, if you want to know about particulars, so what happens if you do crash in the Mediterranean? What's your survival rate? How long can you last because the water temperature is between 68 and 72 degrees right now? That's what they were figuring out this morning on not ESPN, on CNN.
If I was going down, I'd say, but gosh, I wonder what year this plane was made. Is this an Airbus or a Boeing? Those would be
it's a
the
new
last thoughts
aircraft.
going through my mind.
Built in 2003.
Yeah, exactly. That's huge. That's huge. That is a huge detail.
Well, it's not an
Cannot
older
leave that out.
aircraft.
No, I know.
It doesn't have row 13, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I wanted to know.
And you want to know what CNN's meteorologist did this morning?
The new Bermuda Triangle between Cairo and Paris over the Mediterranean. And Don Lemon thinks he's not willing to say that it crashed into the Mediterranean. He thinks it could have been swallowed in a black hole.
In Don's defense, again, that is a question that somebody tweeted in that he had to have answered. About
so
the black hole.
I just want to understand this. So if you're a journalist and somebody tweets a question to you, a journalist, hilarious.
Okay, easy.
I might flip you off with the Milwaukee skyline.
Yeah, that's fine. And somebody tweets you a question, you're required to ask it? Is that AP style? Where are the rules for that?
It was mind-numbing. They
Right.
They did not stop covering
the
Malaysian flight.
It is mind-numbing, and Don Lemon's mind is numb. That is my point.
I think at that point, yes. But here they go again. This was a meteorologist. What is it? Derek Van Dam talking about the survival rate if you crash in the water.
I loved him in those action movies. That's the Belgian action star.
I heard this morning and thought of you, Dan.
Currently, water temperatures over the eastern Mediterranean running between 65 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Now think about our body temperatures running about 96 degrees. So any amount of time submerged in water that's colder than your core temperature is going to impact your health, obviously. But it's going to depend on how healthy you are, how young or how old you are. Bottom line is that a unhealthy young person or elderly individual has a survival rate in this water temperature between 60 and 70 degrees of roughly 2 to 7 hours. If you're a healthy young adult, for instance, you could survive in water temperatures like this up to 40 hours.
I mean, this is just what you want to hear if one of your family members is on the plane. You want to know what their survival rate is in the water.
I've got a follow-up for Jean-Claude Van Damme. If you hit the water that's temperature 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, if you hit it at 600 miles an hour, how does that impact your survivability based on your age and condition? I mean,
then they went on to say
the way we cover these stories, not we, but the legacy media is so pathetic.
Well,
Stop
then they were
being
asking,
an idiot.
They're asking for people to come forward that might have seen something. It happened in the middle of the night, and then they were alluding to the fact that that's a passageway for immigrants, so there's a lot of boats with illegals on it.
Yeah, if anybody was traveling at 37,000 feet last night over the Mediterranean between Paris and Cairo, can you blow in a call to us? Let us know what you saw.
312-642-5600. I mean, it was
so stupid.
And then they were.
Golly.
I know. Well, they don't know. All they do know is that yes, the plane is missing, and family members are preparing for the worst.
Yeah, all they do know.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Today, mostly sunny, a high of 68 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. And then tomorrow, Friday, partly sunny, just a little bit warmer, a high near 70 degrees. Anything dramatic on the roadways? Anything missing, Jim Telemonte?
No, Amy, thankfully. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. There is on the inbound Kennedy crash at Washington right downtown. It's blocking the right lane. Traffic at this point is pretty light. The overnight work on the Kennedy's all gone. The traffic volume is pretty light. The Edens is cleared. No delays to report on the Eisenhower, the Stevenson, or the Ryans. Things have been fairly quiet in the last few hours on the roadways, which is a good thing. There's some police activity. Chicago's West Loop, the intersection of Harrison and Jefferson, been blocked off for some time. There's a heavy police presence there. The Indiana Toll Road has construction delays. It's slow in pockets, really most of the way from the Portage exit to State Road 39 and back 421 and before the Portage exit. Long stretch it there in Porter and LaPorte counties due to that long-term work. There's a delay on the South Shore line. Westbound train 102 running 10 to 15 minutes late due to some track construction. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Hi, I'm Lex Howard, CEO of Balance of Nature. Statistics show that most people will listen to this commercial 7 times before they finally purchase Balance of Nature. Don't be a statistic. Take action to determine your future.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. Best thing I ever got in my... It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life. Yeah, I tell everyone to get it, but everyone gives you a wise answer. Oh, just eat good food. Well, how are you going to eat 15 fruits and whatever? Unless you lived on a farm.
I'm doing well. I definitely have more energy, and there's a big improvement.
Begin giving your body the fruits and vegetables it needs every day. Accept and complete Dr. Howard's 120-day health challenge to earn a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of your #1 home mortgage lender, Townstone Financial. I continue to get calls and emails from homeowners whose interest rates are above 4%. Please do yourself a favor. Take 1 minute. Dial 312-896-2111 or go to townstone.com and let us give you some no closing cost refinance options today. No closing costs means no hidden costs. I guarantee it, and I own the company. Remember, you don't have to restart your mortgage at 30 years or 15. We can customize the payback period. Also, if your home is worth less than what you owe, we still have the Government HARP program, which will allow you to refinance and save money. And anyone who has an FHA mortgage or one with private mortgage insurance definitely needs to call me now so we can lower your monthly mortgage payments due to the recent increase in home values. The call is free, and so is my time. So dial 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com. Townstone Financial is an Illinois mortgage licensee, 6629 and MLS 136639, equal housing lender.
Coming up next, it's me, Mike Gallagher, right after Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy,
I have more information about the plane.
Oh, yeah, the details.
Because now they don't get too mad. I'm obsessed with, every time I'm on an aircraft, I want to know when it was made, what kind of aircraft it was. The Airbus
Where the vodka is.
The A320, the plane that did go down that they're still looking for this morning, it was made in France, just so you know. And there's 4,000 of them in use right now.
How many rivets?
Well, I have to ask my friend Rosie, the riveter,
have?
and I'll get back to you on that. And any other questions you have, you can just tweet them, even though I'm standing right across from you. Just tweet any questions you have
because you're
to
required to read them as a journalist.
I have to read them.
Fox News poll out yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
Trump edge over Hillary Clinton. It's essentially a statistical dead heat, but Trump 45-42 over Hillary Clinton. Hillary's lead among women, not as great as you would think. It's only 14 points. Trump's lead among men, 22 points. Trump is preferred by white women by 9 points.
What about Hispanic women or African American women?
Well, this is where, this is base camp for the Democrats. This Hillary has an 83-point lead among blacks and a 39-point lead among Hispanics.
All right.
So it's not dissimilar. I mean, President Obama beat Mitt Romney among blacks by 87 points, by Hispanics by 44 points. So right now, despite all of what we've heard, but despite two things, Mitt Romney, perhaps the best human being who's ever run for president. I mean, just in terms of the kind of life he has led, an honorable man, a lovely family. I mean, Donald Trump has a lovely family too. I don't know about the first part, but right, person of integrity, all of that.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump, after everything that's been said and all the hysteria and all the hand-wringing and all the Hitler comparisons, his margin right now among or deficit among Hispanics is less than what Mitt Romney lost by. How about that? Same thing with blacks. How about that? Now, he also has the added advantage of running against Hillary Clinton, who's box office poison, but it still points out what we've suggested before on this show, and have been suggesting for months lately, actually, which is that Trump is going to be the next president of the United States.
I'm telling people that now, and they look at me like I'm crazy, but I've heard crazier things. But Ivanka Trump, yesterday, she went on to defend her dad, saying that he doesn't grope people. He's not the person that was depicted in that nasty New York Times, slaughter piece that they did on him. And she's just so well-spoken, and I love her.
He's not a groper. It's not who he is. And I've known my father, obviously, my whole life, and he has total respect for women.
Yes, and interestingly, a number of the women who were featured in that New York Times hit piece essentially recanted, actually recanted is unfair to them. They suggested what the New York Times wrote mischaracterized what they said.
It took a negative connotation.
Not just that, it mischaracterized what they said and what their experience with Donald Trump was. So you've got a real problem with that New York Times story, and Donald Trump, frankly, is turning what a hit piece that splashed across the pages of the New York Times on Sunday into an advantage for him this week, and you see it starting to be reflected in his poll numbers. Additionally, yesterday, of course, you heard at the top of the hour, he released a list of 11 judges.
Oh, yeah, that's the big
he would consider.
that's the real story.
Well, that's part of the story, too. Yeah. He was on with Hannity talking about this as well. We'll get to that. But the big news yesterday was the release of these 11 judges he'd consider nominating to the Supreme Court. A smart play on his part. This is to tamp down some of the Never Trump animus from conservative intellectuals, at least. The judges reviewed, some of whom I know who they are. I haven't had a chance to read all of their opinions, but a lot of good names on the list, including names that he has telegraphed before, like Diana Sykes from Wisconsin. And he's being received well. The names are being received well by conservative constitutional jurists and those that follow the high court.
It's funny because Charlie Sykes is Diana Sykes' ex-husband,
right.
Radio talk show host,
right.
And he's no fan of Donald Trump's, but he likes the idea of his ex-wife being named a Supreme Court justice because she says she's deserving of it.
Yeah, well, and John Cornyn, senator from Texas, establishment type, said Trump made a smart move releasing the names. He told CNN it's reassuring for conservatives to know what he'll be looking for were he elected president. So, this frankly is the weakest argument that the conservative intellectuals in the Never Trump camp have. We talked to P.J. O'Rourke earlier this week about it. You know what you're going to get with Hillary Clinton, and there's no way you can have even a Republican-controlled Congress, a Republican-controlled Senate hold out for 4 years and not fill the Scalia vacancy. So you know what you're going to get. There is no upside. There is no potential for good news on this front, a multi-generational appointment. With Donald Trump, you don't know. Even with the release of this list, you don't know. But there's at least potential for upside. Mm-hmm. So, who do you want to roll the dice with?
Ted Cruz isn't on that list.
Ted Cruz also said earlier this week that he has no interest in the Supreme Court. That was never something
Well,
that
you
was
didn't
in
tell
his
me
heart.
that, Dan.
Well,
You've got to let a girl down easy.
I apologize.
Seriously, he said that he has no interest.
No interest may be
Please.
a strong characterization, but he said serving on the Supreme Court was nothing that's ever been in his heart. He kind of dismissed the idea. So
That's surprising to me because I thought he would be a great Supreme Court justice.
he wants to be president, and Supreme Court is a life appointment. You're not going to walk
can't
away
really-
from a Supreme Court
You can't
appointment.
really say I'm not coming to work today and
Well,
I'm done. Well,
yeah.
you can resign, but,
Well, you can resign, but it's
but that's not cool.
yeah. Well, you resign to do what?
Yeah.
I'm going to leave the court to run for president. That would not be received well.
No.
Now, how do you know Donald Trump's nominees are good if you're a constitutionalist?
Yes, please help me. That's why I came to work today.
All right.
Not only to talk about the Egyptian air flight that's missing, but about this.
Great. And we're so glad you did. This Daily Beast headline.
Yes.
Donald Trump's Supreme Court hates gays, loves police dog brutality.
Excuse me. Can you repeat that?
Headline Daily Beast about the 11 names that he released. These 11 accomplished judges.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump's Supreme Court hates gays and loves police dog brutality. I mean, honestly, the hysteria of the left. By the way, one of them also includes a critic of Trump, showing a little bit of
Oh, yeah, a lot of them.
maturity. Don Willett from Texas.
Yeah, he calls him Darth Trump or something similar to on Twitter. He bashes him all the time.
Yeah. Where was this one organization that they called taking these 11 people accomplished in their own right. Obviously, they're sitting on state and federal courts. They essentially said that it's just white people. There are a few women and no one of color, so they should just be dismissed all out of hand. I mean, I hate white men as much as the next guy. All right.
Stop hating yourself.
I mean, I really, look, nobody dislikes white guys like me. But this idea that you just take 11 people and you just dismiss them all because they're of a particular pigmentation is so bizarre to me. But this is where we are. You could actually have a serious left organization that just dismisses everyone for the color of their skin or the lack of color of their skin. It's just stunning. Oh, wait.
Who's the police dog brutality?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here, listen to this.
All right, I'm ready.
Liberal Center. This is Center for American Progress. Michelle Jawando. I think it's quite interesting that all 11 picks are white and almost all of them are men. When you juxtapose that with President Obama, who's appointed more diverse judges than anyone in history, I think that's a huge distinction.
His last pick, though, was a white male, Jewish white male.
Well, this goes back to the Nicholas Kristof column in the New York Times. At least he admitted it, liberal columnist that he is, that the only diversity that matters to the left is race and gender and sexual orientation. Intellectual diversity matters not. And in fact, it's not tolerated. And this is what this woman from the Center for, I'm assuming she's a woman, Center for American Progress, diversity. There's no diversity in Obama's appointments. They're all hard leftists. And I know Sotomayor is a white Latina.
Is a Latina.
And that'll inform her views, just like everybody's background informs their, and faith and experience informs their views. But does the intellectual capacity of a Supreme Court justice matter, or just what race and gender and sexual orientation they are? It's just fascinating how mind-addled the left is. Sharon from Madison. Hold on a second. We'll take you on the other side.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, it's important businesses who share conservative values work together and support each other so our companies thrive. If you're a manufacturer, I encourage you to call my very good friend Laz Kulchar from Automated Systems. As a software and systems integration company, they create custom solutions to make your production lines, facilities, and plants run way more efficiently. Imagine less downtime, more speed, and fewer rejects. It doesn't matter matter if you're a Fortune 500 company or a startup, Automated Systems delivers solutions for your toughest automation challenges. At Freedom Summit, Laz wowed the crowd with this story of escaping communism, coming to the U.S. and building a successful company. And I know that Laz and Automated Systems can wow your company by making it more profitable. If you even suspect that Automated Systems could benefit your manufacturing company, then call Laz at Automated Systems at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit SYS.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI.
Parents, if you're like me, I know you're sick of your kids spending all of their time on their electronic devices. So toss the iPhones and iPads away, turn off the Xbox, and check out Donley's Wild West Town, a Western theme park just a short drive from Chicago in beautiful Union, Illinois. Now, they're open this weekend from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. both days. One admission, it gets you, includes everything. It's fun that everyone in the family can experience together, and there's nothing else like it. Trust me, there's rides, attractions, panning for gold, which I know Dan Proft would love, shooting slingshots, which is really cool, a Wild West show, a museum, a petting zoo, a great restaurant on property, and so much more. Parents, grandparents, kids, everyone will enjoy a day together at Donley's Wild West Town. It's interactive family fun. So check out all the details at wildwesttown.com. That's wildwesttown.com. And you can also set up a group outing for your church group, summer camp, or daycare. Donley's Wild West Town open this weekend from 10 to 6. Donley's Wild West Town. It's good old-fashioned family fun. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
8,000 trained SEALs blow their horns in Springfield. We'll have that at 5:38.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Still no word on the fate of the missing Egypt Air flight, although it's looking increasingly likely, according to Egyptian officials, that it simply crashed into the Mediterranean Sea. But honestly, we don't know that, according to aviation expert Kathleen Bangs.
As soon as they find some debris, they'll be able to start to get a better idea from the debris field itself, how widely scattered are the parts of the airplane. They'll be able to understand, did the airplane come apart in flight, or did the airplane hit the water intact?
Flight 804 disappeared from radar early on today en route from Paris to Cairo, 56 passengers and 10 crew members on board. Donald Trump says he would most likely choose a Supreme Court nominee from a list of judges he released Wednesday.
At a minimum, we will keep people within this general realm. And
meantime, in an interview on Fox News, Trump said the highly respected conservatives and GOP leaders compile that list. Trump releasing the names of 11 judges he may put up to replace the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. Other news we're following this morning, closing arguments set for today in the trial of a Baltimore police officer named in the arrest and death of Freddie Gray. The House is setting aside $622 million to fight the Zika virus. A civil suit surrounding the 2012 Colorado theater shooting is now in the hands of the jury. A group of city aldermen want to get rid of the TSA at Chicago's two airports, O'Hare and Midway, and the mayor is scheduled to meet with the director of the TSA tomorrow. Mayor's also proposing a transgender bathroom ordinance. Introducing that legislation yesterday, it would prohibit city hotels, restaurants, and other spots from denying customers restroom access based on their gender identity. The proposal simply heads to a committee now for consideration. Cubs over Milwaukee 2-1. Houston over the White Sox 5-3. The news service of Cabela's. Don't miss Cabela's Memorial Day sale. Kick off the summer with huge savings. 50% off Cabela's Deluxe Flotation Vests and 20% off select Keen footwear. Join them for the Hometown Heroes celebration Thursday through Sunday in Hoffman Estates or Hammond, Indiana. Cabela's.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The average Republican voter out there right now is looking for an outsider who will blow the whole damn thing up.
The Joe Walsh Show.
I don't want somebody who comes from Washington. I don't want somebody to get along with Democrats. Not this year. I want the whole system blown up. That's why Trump or That's Why Cruise.
The Joe Walsh Show, weeknights starting at 5, right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This year, that's where Republican voters are at.
Here Maps, the app that turns your phone into a car navigation system with offline maps and turn-by-turn guidance. Get it now at here.com/guide.
Fact. College Illinois 529 prepaid tuition locks in tuition at today's plan rates to help you secure your child's future. Purchase a plan now and lock in your college costs before the May 31st enrollment deadline. Enroll now at collegeillinois.org.
Illinois deserves an honest analysis of the problems facing our state. Avoid the spin from the mainstream media and Springfield insiders by tuning in to Illinois Rising every Sunday at 3 p.m. AM 560's Dan Proft and the Illinois Policy Institute tackle the policy and political issues that matter most and discuss possible solutions. So if you're sick of the status quo, then be sure to listen to Illinois Rising this Sunday at 3 p.m. on AM 560. The Answer.
Tea times, golf outings, driving range, golf academy, brunch, dinner, weddings, banquets, receptions. Find and do it all at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Info online at BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
Heading to the golf course this morning, we have golf course weather. And let's hope we have golf course traffic in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Well, Mike, you'll have to do a little bit of a diversion on Riverside and Berwyn this morning due to a closure of Harlem Avenue. It's shut down right now between 26th and 31st due to a crash on Harlem. The expressways will look pretty good if you're headed out to the fairways. The Edens is all clear, so is the Kennedy. No delays to report on the Eisenhower just yet. Inbound Stevenson, though, it's jamming up in pockets between First Avenue and Harlem. It's 38 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound fine at 34. The Ryan, 18 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 20 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford, 19. There is a crash before Sibley in the left lane. The Illinois tollways look good. The Indiana Toll Road has construction delays in Porter and the Port Counties. Traffic is a service of Oscar Mayer Beef Hot Dogs. When you think back, your favorite foods growing up, hot dogs are always on the list, especially Oscar Mayer hot dogs. As you get older, you want to start eating more like a grown-up. That's why Oscar Mayer Jumbo Beef Hot Dogs are made with a great grown-up taste of 100% Angus beef. So enjoy a childhood favorite all grown up. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Sunny and 68 today. A moonlit sky overnight, low 46. Partly sunny, 69 tomorrow. 43 at O'Hare, 48 along the lake. Next news at 6, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Lou Bridges Show, a show about the truth of the foreclosure crisis. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I want to get to this rally, 8,000 strong in Springfield yesterday.
I heard it was 10,000.
It's a rounding error. 20%, 25% is a rounding error at state government. I mean,
yeah, so who knows? I mean, do you really trust those numbers anyway? But there were a lot of people there.
There are a lot of people there. The public sector unions turned out their rank and file to rally against Ronner. We'll have that in a second. But I do want to take our friend Sharon from Addison, who had a question about the Trump Supreme Court nominees.
Thank you for taking my call, guys. Real quick, Mayor de Blasio is passing a law in New York having to do with telling you how to think about a topic that if they disagree with you, they could fine you. And it has to do with transgendered people, that if you don't address them properly at the time, in restaurants, they're forcing patrons out if they don't want to participate. And the next step is that the governmental body of the city of New York is going to be fining people if they're incorrect. So how are you supposed to guess that about a person? There's no way to do it. But can you file a lawsuit against this, like in Madison County here in Illinois? Is it possible to really counterpunch these people?
Sure.
Liberal fascism is on the rise. How can you do that?
Thanks for the call, Sharon. Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, Mayor de Blasio is right to prosecute thought crimes. Praise INCSOC. Sharon, of course you can push back against unconstitutional infringements on your freedoms, freedom of speech and freedom of thought and freedom of association and all of the things that Mayor de Blasio doesn't believe in, the Sandinista mayor of New York, as Larry Kudlow calls him. So, will that ultimately be challenged? Sure. I mean, it's the same thing you saw in terms of regulating content, and thought leads to content sometimes. In Houston, remember the Houston mayor, Anise Parker?
Oh yeah, who wanted to? She wanted to preview pastors' sermons before they read them on Sundays, right?
Yeah,
just to make sure that they're politically correct or within her line of thinking.
Make sure there's no hate in them.
Oh yeah, no anti-gay rhetoric.
Yeah, so they'll be rallying to challenge municipal ordinances, state statutes along the lines that Mayor de Blasio would like to see imposed on outliers in New York. It's actually a nice segue talking about transgender because I'm not kidding.
Oh, because of
the rally in Springfield yesterday. We'll get to Madigan.
That's why I thought you were.
No. Yeah.
Tiny dancer.
He's just a dink, Madigan. Just a punk. Yeah, all these people. So, Madigan, he's so powerful. He's 8 feet tall and he breathes fire. He's a little property tax appeal attorney from Chicago. Dime a dozen.
But he gets all the big clients. And why is that?
Yeah,
because he gives them kickbacks.
No, because he writes the law.
Okay.
He writes the laws and he controls the Property Tax Appeals Board. And so that's kind of an inside play there. But yesterday, this rally was presided over by Michael Kerrigan, who's the president of the AFL-CIO. Mm-hmm. And listen to him introduce one of the speakers, Stephanie from University of Illinois, who's speaking for the police and the fire.
And she's a student at University of Illinois.
And all the trades. Okay. I want to hear from our police officers and firefighters and tradesmen, electricians and operating engineers and plumbers and carpenters. Does Stephanie speak for you? Is this who your representative is in terms of your interests? I want to hear from you.
Illinois is seriously endangered by the governor's refusal to work on a fair budget. Stephanie Score is a student at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, who has helped to organize a lively protest against the governor, and she is here to be with us today. Stephanie.
Yeah.
Why is she representing firefighters, police officers?
No, we'll have to get that. Wait, hold on a second. I think we've got another clip from Stephanie actually speaking here.
Hello, Illinois. Hi, let's make some noise.
That's Stephanie.
Woo!
That's Stephen.
Stephanie.
Okay, maybe that's why it was mislabeled.
My name is Stephanie Scora. I am a proud transgender woman. I am a lifelong Illinois resident. And last Sunday, I graduated from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
Jeez.
And I am here today with all of you because I have a message for Governor Rauner from the students and the people of Illinois. You may have heard that Governor Rauner paid a visit to my school last month. We sent him packing after only 2 minutes of speaking.
That's an accomplishment. So Stephanie.
Steve? I'm sorry. It's Stephen who's now Stephanie.
Stephanie was the name that was used.
Oh, you know what? We don't use pronouns.
Michael Kerrigan, he's like an old line union boss. She is here. Did you catch that? Yeah. With the introduction? Yeah, even he's confused. But there it is, Stephanie,
what
who...
What mushroom did she use when she was there?
Looks like she's like from a Cure cover band.
Was Sinead O'Connor there?
But I'll tell you go online, take a look at Stephanie.
Okay, I'm going to.
Is that who represents your interests? Tough guys in the police department, firefighters? Because they were there too. Firefighters saying the same thing Stephanie was saying in a different tone of voice.
In a different octave?
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. How you doing?
Yeah.
312-642-5600.
Yeah, trades. I mean, I want to hear from them because they were represented at the rally. Mm-hmm. So you go home and look your wife or husband in the eye and say, Stephanie's down there representing my interests against Governor Rauner? Is that right? This was a rally against math yesterday. And Stephanie, all the tough guys in the police department, fire department, and the trades, I want to hear from them. Stephanie representing you.
And they chose Stephanie because that's what's cool right now is to be transgender, transsexual. So
don't tell that to Michael Kerrigan. He's as confused as anybody is. But this is how pathetic they are. And anybody who abides this is pathetic as well. I have respect for all the professions and state workers, but you're not. The idea that we must genuflect and celebrate everything that's said and done in your name, nope, not on board. Not on board. So come on, I want to hear from all the big talkers in the public sector unions and all the Pontius Pilates in the public sector unions too, that shrug their shoulders when this grotesque show rolls into Springfield or a town near you. Come on. Mike on the north side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning, kids. This doesn't surprise me. I belong to a labor union. I work for the city.
Right.
And these labor union bosses, all they do is parrot the liberal talking points. This is why when Blagojevich was running for Congress, remember he got caught using non-union people to rehab his house, and he said, it's okay, I used a lesbian landscaper. So I guess if you have gender issues, that's equal to union membership. But that's why every time I drive through the West Side, if I see anybody in a shirt and tie crossing by a union office, I always accelerate and try to hit them.
You stop it. I actually know the lesbian landscaper that Mike is talking about who designed, she also does work for Rahm Emanuel currently.
Mike Madigan was there. He made a rare appearance at the rally. Listen to Mike Madigan. It was indistinguishable from Stephanie, except he gave the white power salute at the end of his remarks.
Tell me how you feel. Governor Rauner wants to change workers' compensation. How do you feel? Governor Rauner wants to change collective bargaining. How do you feel? Governor Rauner wants to change the prevailing wage. How do you feel? Governor Rauner wants to use the government to lower wages. How do you feel? Governor Rauner wants to use the government to lower the standard of living. How do you feel? Governor Rauner in workers' compensation wants to send injured workers to the emergency room. How do you feel? Governor Rauner wants to send injured workers to the welfare. How do you feel?
To the welfare.
The last question. Governor Rauner wants Illinois to go right to work. How do you feel?
And then
he went away with a rotator cuff injury because he was raising his hand so much.
Yeah, then he went to
his little
have
arm.
Steve Brown cut up slices of apple for him, some white bread for his lunch. Tom on the northwest side. Hey, Tom.
There's no way she represents us.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, she was on the same. She was on the same stage with representatives from the firefighters union.
Yeah, well, believe me, the rank and file is not represented by that.
Well, I know. So when
did it happen? That type of view.
When are the rank and file going to rise up? Is my question.
Oh, they'll rise up. Believe me.
All
and
right.
who caused the pension crisis? Rauner didn't cause it. The men and the women in the field didn't cause it. On the police and fire, the politicians caused it. They caused the whole problem.
Thanks for the call, Tom. I don't disagree with that. But the problem is these unions as represented, who do they back? The politicians that caused the crisis.
The Democratic politicians that caused the crisis. That's what makes no sense.
Kent in Lincoln Park.
Hey, good morning. I don't totally agree with that. All the liberal people in the city of Chicago that voted these politicians in and continue to do that are responsible. And the fact is, when you have all these fringe people, that's all that's left, basically. The regular people in the state of Illinois have had it. They understand mathematically that these pensions don't work. And, the unions are looking for anybody to support them that they can. So this is going to end bad for these guys. And it's unfortunate because these guys all are entitled to a pension, but you know what? If you let people do stuff that they can't pay for, this is the way it ends.
Just on northbound I-55 from Weber Road to 53, then 355 to 83, and First Avenue to Kedzie. It's 50 minutes already. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 36 from the Tri-State. Outbound, it's still fine. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown, I-57. Already 25 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Vision 430. There's a crash at Sibley in the left lane. Also in Berwyn and Riverside, there's a closure of Harlem Avenue between 26th and 31st due to a crash. And Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Hey, business owners, I want you to stop and think about the one part of your organization that you simply cannot live without. What comes to your mind? Employees, your location, your customers? How about your technology? Let's face it, everything rests on your network running smoothly and efficiently. That's where Turnkey IT comes in. They understand the value of your network and the critical role it plays in your company. They'll keep your network up and running and resolve any problems so you can focus on the important things. Turnkey IT's team of professionals will respond to you quickly, even on weekends, 24/7. They won't roll their eyes when you ask them questions or try to dazzle you with confusing technical jargon. So this spring, Turnkey IT is offering a free security audit. That's right. Even if you have an IT guy, this free security audit's turnkey.pro.
When elderly family...
and if they're keeping your data safe from viruses and hackers. So visit turnkey.pro today.
Turnkey Care. You insist on local medical professionals with specialized training in home services and nursing. Alliance Home Service is a leading family alternative to nursing home and institutional care. It's critical to ask the right questions when matching a caregiver to your loved one to maintain the most positive lifestyle for your entire family. Alliance Home Service is among a select group of Chicagoland companies providing in-home non-medical care such as hygiene, medication reminders, activities, and companionship and medical care. All caregivers have the highest level of training and expertise. You'll experience the cost efficiency of in-home care as well as the level of caring you expect from family. Call founder and registered nurse Linda Weiler at 866-227-3459 or visit alliancecaregiver.com for a no-obligation family care consultation. Alliance Home Service. Our family caring for your family. That's 866-227-3459 or alliancecaregiver.com.
What is it about buying a mattress that leaves you feeling violated? Pushy salespeople, fake sales, the walk of shame out of the mattress store? Those days are over. Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, co-founder of Helix Sleep, where you can buy a mattress online, customized for you, for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Go to helixsleep.com, answer a few simple questions, and we build you the most comfortable mattress you'll ever sleep on. Shipping is free, and you have 100 nights to try it out. Go to helixsleep.com/USA. That's helixsleep.com/USA.
Mike Rowe here with a quick IAQ test from my buddy Bill.
Wait, I didn't study.
IAQ stands for Indoor Air Quality, something 1 hour excels at.
Well, I aced my SATs, so...
Yes or no? Do you breathe inside your home?
Yeah.
And what do you breathe?
Air.
And what's in that air?
Air?
Sorry, we were looking for dust mites, household pollutants, even formaldehyde.
Wait, I need to move.
Or you could call 1 hour and improve your IAQ.
That sounds smarter.
Let's see how you do with the disclaimer.
Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
Not bad.
AM 560. The Answer.
Big sexy. Shh. Come on down. Ready? Wake up.
Bartolo Colon signed a one-year deal with the Mets. He's a 42-year-old pitcher. He played for the Sox for a bit. He's played for a lot of teams. He's kind of a physical anomaly. I don't even know how he still pitches, but he does. Not only his age, but he's like 5'10" and like 300 pounds.
There's a lot of weight behind the ball, okay?
Story broke recently that he had a couple of love children out of wedlock, and he owes child support for those 2 children.
For just 2?
Well, he's got 4 with his wife, who's been married to for 21 years. But then he owes child support allegedly for 2 other children, ages 8 and 7.
Ooh.
And so part of this, in addition, apparently the $100 million he's made during his playing career is not enough to cover the kids, and so he's trying to trademark the nickname.
What? Oh no! What? Big guy.
Big Sexy.
What?
Big Sexy.
Big Sexy.
Yeah, and Bart Bino.
Bart Bino, I like that. But so you trademark that and make T-shirts?
Yeah,
sell bumper stickers.
Exactly. It's all merchandising. That's where it all is. Big Sexy. So
he's not. I mean, I hate to tell him this. He's not really sexy.
I hate to tell him this, but he's got a race on his hands to the courthouse with me.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
You don't need a real estate agent with gimmicks. You need the selling power that only Ed Lukasik Jr. can give you.
I'm Ed Lukasik Jr., owner of RE/MAX Professionals. I know how to maximize the sale of your home.
Ed is listed in the top 30 RE/MAX agents nationwide.
When I list a home for you, I only represent you, not the buyer. I am fighting for your highest home value.
Ed Lukasik Jr., the #1 RE/MAX agent in Illinois for most closed listings.
I use the latest online and mobile technologies to market your home and drive buyer activity to my listings. That equals maximum exposure for my sellers.
Ed closed 260 homes last year. That's a home sold every 1.5 days.
I am an agent that has your best interests at heart. It's not about a quick sale. It's about negotiating to maximize every dollar so you get the highest value for your home.
Call Ed Lukasik Jr. of RE/MAX Professionals, 630-679-5454, 630-679-5454. Sell your house with the professionals, RE/MAX Professionals.
Looking for a midweek night out? Well, this coming Wednesday, May 25th, kick off your Memorial Day weekend a couple of days early by heading over to the Arcado Theater in downtown St. Charles for the one night only, absolutely live Night Sphere Grand Finale. Now, the Chicagoland music scene is alive and well, and the Night Sphere Grand Finale showcases the brightest and best Chicagoland discoveries like Mr. Blotto, who I know you've probably seen or heard of. Now, you'll get to hear the host band, Thaddeus Project, who just won a huge national award, plus many others. So head over to the Arcado Theater Wednesday night and groove to the live Night Sphere Grand Finale. For tickets and information, visit oshows.com. That's the letter O, shows.com. VIP upgrades are still available. It's presented by Northern Resource and North Point Financial Group, Insure, Preserve, and Protect, and T-minus 10 partners and Thaddeus Project Production. That's oshows.com, oshows.com. Don't miss it.
There are two kinds of pain that goes away and the worst kind, chronic pain. If you suffer from chronic pain, life is not complete and it can be miserable. Unfortunately, most people use narcotics that mask the pain. You need to find the source of the chronic pain and get relief.
This is Dr. Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. We're serious players in the management of pain, and our team are national leaders as well as being educators in the treatment of pain. We will work with you to diminish or eliminate your pain and help you get your life back. You know, there's a nationwide narcotics epidemic, and people are too quick to mask over chronic pain instead of looking for the cause and treating or eliminating the pain. Contact us. We will help you.
Go to mypainchicago.com. Call and make an appointment with some of the best pain people in the nation, located here in Chicago. mypainchicago.com. You or someone you know suffers in the suffering of chronic pain. mypainchicago.com. Let's make you pain-free.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
DNC Chairman Debbie Wasserman Schultz is feeling the burn and feeling the perm. That's at 6:06.
And there's a growing chorus of lawmakers who want to privatize security at O'Hare and Midway. We'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a Schaumburg woman sentenced for killing her disabled daughter. We'll get reaction to that story this morning. Mayor Emanuel proposing a transgender bathroom ordinance. A judge sets a trial date in a lawsuit against Tammy Duckworth. 3 are dead after a train truck Amtrak collision in Mississippi. That train bound for Chicago last night. Cubs right the ship. White Sox continue to struggle, and we have a sunny day ahead. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Dave Anthony. What went wrong at 37,000 feet? A lot of questions, few answers after an Egypt Air flight vanishes from radar going from Paris to Cairo. That's French President Hollande moments ago confirming the plane crashed, not ruling out terrorism or any other possible cause. It happened in good weather. The pilot did not indicate anything was wrong. 66 people were on board. Fox's Jessica Gallagher live in our Middle East Bureau.
Dave, Egypt Air Flight 804 was lost from radar early this morning, local time, right after entering Egypt's airspace, about 150 miles off Egypt's coast. Greek and Egyptian officials also say the jet crashed in the Mediterranean off the Greek island of Crete. Egypt's prime minister says it's too early to say what caused the jet to disappear from radar. This is a merchant marine captain reported seeing a fireball in the sky, according to Greek officials. Aircraft from Egypt, Greece, and France are searching for the plane. There were no Americans on board, mostly French and Egyptians, Dave.
Now, Jessica, China is rejecting American claims that one of its fighter jets unsafely intercepted a U.S. Navy reconnaissance plane this week over an area with disputed islands in the South China Sea. China is also urging the U.S. to stop spying near its territory. The House has approved funding to fight Zika, the virus dangerous to pregnant women, blamed for birth defects. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the House passed a $622 million bill to fight the virus, just a fraction of the $1.9 billion the White House requested. The passage sets up negotiations with the Senate, which has advanced a much larger $1.1 billion package. House Republicans want to reallocate money already in the budget. The White House is threatening to veto the House bill. The Centers for Disease Control says it's just not enough. Dave.
Rachel, an Arizona police officer is in extremely critical condition.
He is fighting for his life. His family is traumatized.
Phoenix Sergeant Trent Crum says the officer was shot responding to a burglary yesterday. He also fired his gun and the suspect was killed. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Clear skies, sunshine, 43 degrees, 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A group of city officials this morning calling on the city to get rid of the TSA at Chicago's two airports. Ed Burke, one of four aldermen who introduced a resolution calling for privatized passenger screenings at O'Hare and Midway.
It's working in San Francisco, isn't it? And it's working in 20 other airports around the country. What we do know is it's not working here with TSA.
The move comes after long security lines forced thousands of travelers to miss flights. Mayor Emanuel is scheduled to meet with the director of the TSA tomorrow. Governor Bruce Rauner says a state budget deal is close. AM 560's David Stewart reports Rauner shrugged off a large crowd of union protesters yesterday.
While thousands of union supporters rallied at the state capitol against Governor Rauner's anti-labor reform agenda, he insists that bipartisan talks are close to reaching a budget deal.
The reality is we've made a lot of progress. We don't have a deal yet, but I think we can get a deal in the coming days.
And as for those union protesters,
if yelling and chanting and protesting solved problems, Illinois wouldn't have any problems. I mean, we got a lot of that.
On stage in Springfield, House Speaker Michael Madigan.
Governor Rauner wants to change collective bargaining. How do you feel?
Railing against the reforms Rauner insists be part of a budget deal. David Stewart, Chicago.
A judge in southern Illinois sets an August 15 trial date in a workplace retaliation lawsuit filed against U.S. Senate candidate Tammy Duckworth. That Democrat is challenging Republican incumbent U.S. Senator Mark Kirk in one of the most competitive November races in the Senate. Two employees for a home for veterans say Duckworth violated state ethics laws by taking action against them when she was head of the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs. Mayor Rahm Emanuel proposing a transgender bathroom ordinance. He introduced that legislation yesterday that would prohibit city hotels and restaurants and grocery stores from denying customers restroom access. Chicago sports, Cubs over Milwaukee 2-1. Houston beat the White Sox 5-3. WNBA, Minnesota beat the Sky 97-80. The news, a service of CiCi's Pizza, ready for an adventure in flavored. CiCi's is bringing 3 new flatbread pizzas to the unlimited buffet. Try the new spinach Alfredo, chicken bacon club, and honey barbecue chicken. More flavor to explore for the same great value. 5 and change, only at CiCi's. Better. Believe it. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager wants to know where the money will come from.
Do people not understand, and this is not a rhetorical question, do people who vote for Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders not understand that all of these programs cost money? That's what they believe. There's an inexhaustible, because the rich are so rich, and they'll just get more money from them.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
We've all heard commercials where they chatter about how large their inventory is, how big their discounts are. Well, this is where the zinc meets your metal. Gatto Industrial Platers on Roosevelt Road in Chicago is home to North America's largest plating line. They can handle parts up to 27 feet long, weighing up to 8,000 pounds, including a production rack and barrel zinc plating line that can process up to 300 tons of parts each and every day. But Gatto Platers can also handle zinc plating of a small box of screws and all in between, with 24 to 48-hour turnaround service and a fleet of trucks all over Chicagoland. As their owner, George, says, Gatto is big, we're good, and we're easy to work with. Learn why George says what he says at GattoPlaters.com. That's GATTO Platers.com. Or call George at 800-290-1223. Gatto Platers, proud to sponsor AM 560's Feed the Children program. Find them online at GattoPlaters.com.
It's the Ready to Ride sales event and time to gear up for your ultimate thrill ride. Hit the open road on a Can-Am Spyder. With its unique Y-frame design, your confidence will only be exceeded by your exhilaration. Hurry in by May 31st and save up to $2,500 on select 2015 Can-Am Spyder models, plus get great financing. Get ready to ride because the fun starts now.
Visit iMotorsports in Elmhurst or online at iMotorsportsinc.com.
Subject to credit approval. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
Thousands of people are choosing to drive with Uber. That's where the riders are. So drivers have less downtime, are busier making more trips, earning more money.
I choose to drive with Uber because of the money and flexibility. I'm my own boss. I get to do what I want, when I want, and still earn extra money. Driving with Uber is the smartest thing I've done.
Earn the extra money you need. Just an hour or two a day and the money adds up fast when you drive with Uber. Get started today. Take 2 minutes and sign up right now. Go to drivewithuber.com. Drivewithuber.com.
It is 6:07 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the very latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the inbound Eisenhower at Mannheim, had a crash just reported. Delay started on Wolf Road. Right now it's 42 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 30. The Edens is fine. Inbound Kennedy, 22 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 20 still. But the Stevenson is rough again with heavy delays. 126 to 83. And from the Des Plaines River Bridge to Kedzie, an hour and 5 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. 45 minutes from the Tri-State. It's fine outbound. The Rhine is 27 minutes. 95 to downtown. There are crashes at 31st, also at Canalport in the right lane. I-57, 30 minutes. I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford at 20. The Illinois tollways still look fine. Traffic is a service of GoToMeeting. Be a meeting MVP. GoToMeeting is the online meeting tool that lets you easily collaborate and present from anywhere with one click. So you always put on your best performance. Step up your meeting game and start your free trial at GoToMeeting.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Let's get the latest with meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, mostly sunny, high of 68. A moonlit sky for tonight with a low 46. Then tomorrow, partial sunshine with a high of 69. And a partly cloudy night tomorrow night with a low of 48. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
Sunshine and 43 at O'Hare. Next news, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560 The Answer. Brought to you by Pure Shale Financial Group.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
What about what Clinton's done? In one case, it's about exposure. In another case, it's about groping and fondling and touching against a woman's will. And rape. And rape.
The chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, I mean, it's been pretty clear, Steve, almost from the get-go, that she has been working against Bernie Sanders. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
The fact is, with both New York looking at this, Atlanta looking at it, now Chicago, it's a wake-up call to TSA.
I could see that the Democrats were going to pass another out-of-balance budget. So every year they've been passing a budget that's either $4 or $5 billion deficit with no money to pay for it.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And overnight, we had an Egypt airplane that was traveling from Paris to Cairo disappear into the Mediterranean Sea. We're, getting details and new accounts of what may have transpired in real time, and we'll continue updating the story. But the initial story was that air traffic control lost contact with the pilot. It was not unresponsive, and there was no distress call. That was the initial report. I know that may be in dispute, but that was the initial report, and they believe the plane crashed in the Mediterranean Sea. They're at presently looking for the wreckage.
Yeah, flight 804, Egypt Air Flight 804, left France, Paris, France, around 11 o'clock their time, 11 p.m., disappeared around 2:42 a.m. their time. Last person to make contact with was a Greek Civil Aviation Authority official, and they spoke to the pilot, and then 2 minutes later, it disappeared from their radar. And they're focusing their search 175 miles off the coast of Cairo, of Egypt, Cairo, and just looking for anything, really.
Right.
I mean, it was flying at 37,000 feet. It was, it was not on a descent, so it was in the safe zone, they claim. So they're not ruling anything out, pilot error, mechanical error, possibly terrorism.
Right. I mean, and all 68?
66 people, 15 were French citizens. 3 were air marshals, or the equivalent of our air marshals that were on that plane, and then 10 crew members.
So we're talking Egypt Air, and so, of course, this calls to mind the Egypt Air flight last year that was bombed out of the sky from that had left Egypt traveling to Russia with a lot of tourists that went to the resort area, Sharm el Sheikh, in Egypt, and it was later concluded that it was Islamic terrorism, terrorists that were responsible for that. So the lack of a distress call, if that turns out to be substantiated, and the lack of being able to communicate with the pilot, and the fact that it's Egypt Air from Paris to Cairo, you have to leave open the possibility that this was not pilot error or mechanical error, but we don't know that yet. We'll provide more detail as it becomes available.
And right now, French officials have not been asked by the Egyptian government to help out, but the Egyptian Air Force, of course, is combing the area by plane, by boat. And they're also, what the French officials are doing, they're interviewing people the baggage handlers at the airport, at Charles de Gaulle Airport, people who loaded the food and beverage carts onto that aircraft. They're interviewing them right now.
Yeah, it's
because
a good idea.
Because that place is 80,000 people work at the Charles de Gaulle Airport. And last year they fired a number of them who managed to sneak in and work while being on the terror watch list.
Sounds like TSA. And that's important because you want an accounting of all the employees. If somebody doesn't show up for work or somebody's
left work early.
Yeah, not reachable, that starts to raise other questions and possibilities. So we'll report what we know.
And it's weird because after it transferred from the Greek airspace into the Egyptian airspace, 2 minutes later it just disappeared.
Right. And so, but unlike what you'll see on CNN and, these kind of repetitive, addled cable news shows and other radio shows, we're not going to just try and fill the time with blather. Unlike this weatherman that you found, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
No, his name is Derek Van Dam.
Uh-huh.
This happened at 3 o'clock this morning, 3-ish. He said that there were no weather issues, and he was just pointing out what the conditions were like in the Mediterranean right now and if you can survive.
Currently, water temperatures over the eastern Mediterranean running between 65 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Now think about our body temperatures running about 96 degrees. So any amount of time submerged in water that's colder than your core temperature is going to impact your health, obviously. But it's going to depend on how healthy you are, how young or how old you are. Bottom line is that a unhealthy young person or elderly individual has a survival rate in this water temperature between 60 and 70 degrees of roughly 2 to 7 hours. If you're a healthy young adult, for instance, you could survive in water temperatures like this up to 40 hours. So easily just under a day and a half.
Unless Sully Sullenberger was flying that Egypt airplane, I would suggest something that brings people together in terms of their survivability rate, whether you're young and out of shape or elderly or young and in shape. Something that brings people together is not surviving a plane hitting the water at 600 miles an hour.
Yeah, I don't think it was a soft landing, Dan, but he was just, hypothetically speaking, if it was, what's your survival rate?
Hypothetically speaking,
and it was in the dark, too.
He's a moron.
Yeah.
Trump and Sanders, let's switch gears here. Do you believe Donald Trump? Now, Donald Trump released 11 nominees that he would consider for Supreme Court. He always leaves himself a wiggle room. He may. He didn't say he will appoint from that list. He said may. So that goes to the same kind of underlying trust issue. 312-642-5600. What's your response to the list of names that he released, Donald Trump, in terms of potential Supreme Court nominees, if and when he is elected President of the United States? Do you believe him? The nominees are being received very well in conservative circles. They're being attacked hysterically in liberal circles, so you know that
it's working.
These are some good judges that are on the list, as you would expect, with him tasking the Federalist Society and the Heritage Foundation to come up with some suggested names, including a former Scalia law clerk, which is always a good place to start.
But this is something no other candidate has done in modern times. I mean, he hasn't locked in the nomination yet, but also, I mean, he's a presumptive nominee. But this new appeal to win over conservatives, is it working for you, Dan?
I think this is the question that it's very difficult for the never Trump conservatives to deal with because everyone understands that the Supreme Court justice is a multi-generational appointment. And it's not just to replace Scalia. It's likely the next president will have 2 or 3 additional appointments, right? And so can you survive? You can survive Hillary. You can survive Trump. But the court, think about all the decisions during the Obama regime, starting with Obamacare. The court turns out to be increasingly important, whether it should be or not, it is. And so you know what you're going to get with Hillary, and there is no possibility for upside. You may not trust Donald Trump. You may find his behavior boorish and intolerable at times. But at least you have some upside potential, particularly with a Republican-controlled Senate. And so, if you've got to make a moral relativistic choice, which is what most elections turn out to be, then does the power to make Supreme Court appointments tip the scales to get off the sidelines and support Donald Trump, or, you know, the case of even like the PGR work, to stop with this dalliance with Hillary Clinton and support Donald Trump?
Well, I had explained to my kids yesterday that I am not supporting Donald Trump, but I'm supporting the Republican Party when it comes to what I'm deciding to do in November. And the main point, the main concern for me is the Supreme Court justices that will be appointed. Because if Hillary's in there, they're all going to be left of left. I mean, come on, we have to admit that.
So your support, when you
I'm
say you're
supporting the party, not the candidate.
but yet
I'm voting for the candidate.
Okay,
but I had to explain something to my kids so that they talk to me in the future because they can't stand Donald Trump.
The manifestation of your party support because of Supreme Court nominees is going to be a vote for Donald Trump. Well, this is a kind of a watershed moment.
Let's just baby steps, okay?
Yeah,
this is just a very strong possibility on my list.
Let's just take a breath and let's all reflect on Amy Jacobson's announcement that she will be voting for Donald Trump after he releases his list of 11. I guess that's a pretty good indicator of how powerful it is and how smart politically it is for him to do this.
And he listed some adversaries. I mean, Don
Willett from Texas.
He's been mocking him on Twitter, calling him Darth Trump. Utah Judge Thomas Lee, Senator Mike Lee from Utah's
His
brother
right.
who supported Ted Cruz. And then Diane Sykes, whose ex-husband is Charlie Sykes, who's a radio conservative talk show host who does not like Donald Trump, but likes his idea.
I don't believe anything he says, but she would certainly be an outstanding choice.
And Diana Sykes is somebody that Trump had been mentioning during the course of the campaign prior to the release of this list. Now, on the other side, by the way, there's a Fox News poll out yesterday, 45-42 Trump.
Yeah.
So, again, another argument that a lot of conservatives have been making. Trump is going to get crushed, and he's going to bring down the down ballot races with him. Doesn't seem like that's the case. Now, obviously, 6 months is a long time. A lot of it
so
could
I hope
change.
He doesn't step in it again.
But that's certainly not the case based on the data at this juncture. And then on the other side, which is also kind of hampering the cackler, is Bernie Sanders. Continues. The revolt continues on the other side. It's the fever pitch is escalating, even more fevered, I guess, is the way to say it. And they're none too happy with the process. They're starting to sound very much like Donald Trump before he effectively closed out the Republican primary. Listen to a spokesman for Comrade Bernie's commune talking about one Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the DNC chairman. This is Jeff Weaver, Sanders campaign manager.
There is a way to deal with frustration over process, but the fact that the Sanders campaign has issued a but in between condemnation of violence and frustration over the process seems to excuse their supporters' actions, which is unacceptable.
What's your response to that, Jeff?
Well, It's ridiculous, frankly. Bernie Sanders made it very clear before the convention that he wanted people to act civilly. He made it clear after the convention that he condemned any threats that went on. The chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, I mean, it's been pretty clear, Steve, from the get-go, that she has been working against Bernie Sanders. I mean, there's no doubt about it. For personal reasons. Whether it's that debate schedule that we had, that very confined debate schedule that we had with debates scheduled on weekends where no one was going to be watching, whether it was this joint fundraising agreement that they have with the Hillary Clinton campaign, which is taking money out of state parties, whether it's these standing committees where they've appointed really hostile Hillary Clinton partisans against, to head these committees at the convention. I mean, Debbie Wasserman Schultz has really been a divider and not really provided the kind of leadership that the Democratic Party needs.
How about that? Feel the perm, feeling the burn. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, a divider. Mika Brzezinski on that Morning Joe, that infernal Morning Joe program.
Yes.
She said Debbie Wasserman Schultz should resign. Mika Brzezinski,
Really?
a woman of the left. And frankly, Jeff Weaver stopped short of that. But all of you fair-minded Democrats who kind of look in the mirror and see the most equitable, fairness-minded person that you know. Well, what about how your friend, Comrade Bernie's being treated by the Democrat power structure? How does that make you feel? And for Bernie supporters, you going to roll in with Hillary after the kind of things that Jeff Weaver and the Sanders campaign has had to experience and what they're saying now about their treatment from Wasserman Schultz, not to mention their supporters' treatment at some of these conventions, like in Vegas over the weekend? Very, very interesting stuff. Trump consolidating support, the Democrats cracking up.
What's up, big perm?
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
I just got an email from one of our avid listeners, Ron, saying, Amy, I'm glad to hear you're coming around to voting for Trump. Welcome to the dark side! Exclamation point.
It's nice to be welcome.
Forecast for today is very welcoming, and it's going to be sunny all day, an abundance of sunshine. I love saying that. A high of 68 degrees. And then tomorrow, a few high clouds, no big deal. And a little bit warmer, a high near 70 degrees. Any big deals on the roadway? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Well, Amy, unfortunately, we have an abundance of traffic on the inbound Stevens, and it's brutal again this morning and early with heavy delays from 126 to 83 on LaGrange Road to Kedzie. It's already an hour and 15 minutes from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 55 minutes from the Tri-State. Outbound still okay. The Edens runs 20 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Kennedy, 24 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 22. The Eisenhower's 50 minutes from Thorndale to downtown and 37 from Mannheim, outbound 32 to Thorndale. Ryan's heavy with a couple of crashes, one at 31st, one at Canalport. It's 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 40 minutes, I-80 to the Merge. Bishop 425. Eastbound Adams Tollway slow from Toohey to the River Road Toll, Reagan Tollway, York to the Tri-State, and Berwyn and Riverside. Harlem Avenue is closed between 31st and 26th for crash investigation. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
What's your caliber? Black Rhino Concealment knows many AM 560 listeners carry or plan to. Damn straight. And want the best holsters for concealed carry, range practice, or competitive shooting. Black Rhinos are comfortable and safe. Every holster is handcrafted by veterans of 100% virgin Kydex with American-made fasteners. From precision fit and finish to secure retention and quick draw, a Black Rhino is the finest holster at a modest price. Backed by a lifetime material warranty and workmanship guarantee, Black Rhino has tactical carrier and concealed carry systems for every caliber. You and your firearm deserve a Black Rhino. The Second Amendment protects our right to bear arms, and Black Rhino protects those arms. Black Rhino Concealment, we hold your caliber against you. Visit blackrhinoconcealment.com or call 847-783-6499 for showroom info. Use the promo code AM560 for a 10% discount on your first order. That number again, 847-783-6499.
You know the name Barbara Walters. Now remember the company, Ameritrust Mortgage.
Ameritrust Mortgage was formed along with a talented professional staff that makes your mortgage process easy, swift, and cost-efficient for you, the home buyer, and for those who refinance. Ameritrust is all-inclusive, start to finish, the way lending should be. At Ameritrust, we believe it has been our privilege to have helped thousands of people over 30 years with purchasing or refinancing their home. We are here to help. Let us customize a loan program for your specific needs, FHA, VA, or conventional. At Ameritrust, the responsibility belongs to me. It's my name on the door. I am the president. I am Barbara Walters. Call Ameritrust now, 815-459-7303. Again, that number is 815-459-7303. Or visit us at am560myhome.com.
Ameritrust Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee number 720. NMLS number 217229.
No matter what type of business you're in, having a strong business banking partnership can help your bottom line. I'm Jeff Boundy, president of Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company. We strongly believe that trust, service, and relationship are the cornerstone of a successful business banking partnership. Customers like Robert Weissite of Robert C. Weissite Company agree.
I appreciate the depth of experience my Cornerstone banker brings to the table. Last June, we located a building we wanted to buy for expansion. My Cornerstone banker walked me through everything I could expect to face in advance, from the letter of intent all the way through the day of closing. It went very smooth and predictably and with low stress. He had been through this type of transaction many times, and his years of experience helped me make my purchasing experience predictable, efficient, and successful.
Thanks, Bob. Please visit cornerstonenb.com, or I invite you to give me a call at 847-654-3000 to explore a business banking partnership.
Equal Opportunity Lender. Member FDIC.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy. So, Amy, first quarter revenue for Target.
Oh, yeah. How's Target doing?
Down 5.5%. Stock price down 9% first quarter this year. The biggest decline on the S&P index. Oh, wonder if it has anything to do with their bathroom policy. Steve King, congressman from Iowa, your adopted home state. He called for
yesterday. You said that wasn't really a degree if you got a degree from University of Iowa, and I am still highly offended.
All right.
Apologize.
Duly noted. Steve King from Iowa called for civil disobedience in response to the Obama administration's missive on bathrooms and schools.
Okay, so are we going to just collectively storm any Target store?
I don't know. Civil disobedience. I don't know exactly what he has in mind. He basically just says
take aim at the target.
Yeah, just said don't. Yes, right.
Ew.
And Josh Earnest, the Dickensian name spokesbeing for the Obama regime, he says all of this fighting, disagreeing, it's all the Republicans' fault. They started it.
The first is this is a confrontation that Republicans have sought out, rather cynically, because they are seeking a political advantage.
Oh, yeah. It's our fault. It's our fault. They're the ones who issued the edict of President Obama, unless I checked, he's still a Democrat.
Why did we make him do that?
Why, Dan? Why did you make him do that?
Mm-hmm. No, it's not a turnout to play for them. It's not about them continuing to try and remake America. We sought this out. Yeah, we sought out. We were trying to get an answer to the question, when did it become okay for grown men to go to the bathroom with little girls?
When did they want to change the societal norms? I mean, that's, but of course it's a Republican fault. Mm-hmm.
Well, now, somebody that prompted a different kind of confrontation, this happened to one Lisa Stickles, who was shopping at her local Ross store in Dallas, and this is what happened.
Lisa said Monday she heard a man in the women's dressing room and told a manager who went to check it out.
He came right back out and called me to the side and told me that he was representing himself as a woman today.
Lisa said she complained, stayed in the store, and called corporate long enough to see the man walk out.
And he was in no way dressed as a woman. He had on jeans, a T-shirt, 5 o'clock shadow, very deep voice. He was a man.
And Lisa
so what about me, or my feelings are making me feel uncomfortable? And
Lisa doesn't think any of the policies work for her, especially if they can be easily exploited.
Lisa has a question. What about me and what about my feelings? Thanks a lot, Lisa, for bringing this all on the rest of America. It's your fault.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook. or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I've been very happy with Balance of Nature. You know what the funny thing is, even when I'm tired, I feel better than I have in so long. I really haven't gotten colds. It's just been great. I've been very, very pleased. More energy. I think it really works. I really do.
Working out, losing weight, and even in the best of times, I can't eat that many vegetables, so it's nice to know I'm getting them.
My husband got a cold, but I didn't. So, hooray! Thank God for Balance of Nature.
It's time you had a Balance of Nature experience in your own life. Call now. Accept and complete Dr. Howard's 120-day challenge to earn a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751 to begin your road to better health. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
AM 560. The Answer.
I don't think that'll work. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, what do you think about taxing retirement income in Illinois? AARP doesn't like it, but a lot of politicians in Springfield do at 6:36.
And age and weight do matter if you want to pursue one profession in one state. We'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 43 degrees and sunny here in Chicago. There may have been a catastrophic event on the missing Egypt Air flight that disappeared en route from Paris to Cairo early this morning. Greece's defense ministry saying data shows Flight 804 made abrupt turns, swerving 90 degrees right, then 360 degrees left as it dropped from 37,000 feet. French President François Hollande says the Airbus A320 has indeed crashed. John Rose, former travel program director for the Defense Department, says it's not hard to imagine foul play in a situation like this.
This could have been a situation where someone on the ground in Paris was able to get something into the aircraft that, you have to look at the ground crews. That was right around a shift change, so the individual could have done it and easily been long gone out of the airport before anything was suspected.
It's believed that plane went down in the Mediterranean Sea near the Greek islands with 56 passengers and 10 crew on board. An Afghan official says 8 policemen have been killed by a colleague who turned his gun on them at a checkpoint in the volatile southern Zabul province. The House setting aside $622 million to fight the Zika virus. Congressman Randy Holtgren announces the vote pushing through that bill.
On this vote, the yeas are 241, the nays are 184. The bill is passed. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
The amount far less than the nearly $2 billion the Obama administration asked for to combat the mosquito-borne virus. It is a crowded day on Mount Everest. A Nepalese official says more than 150 climbers have scaled Mount Everest today because of improved weather conditions. Many of climbers already are returning to lower camps after reaching the world's highest peak. Group of City of Chicago officials wants to get rid of the TSA at Chicago's 2 airports, O'Hare and Midway. A 12-year-old boy recovering after he was shot outside a restaurant on Chicago's near west side, near Western and Adams. And authorities in Mississippi say a father and 2 children were instantly killed when their pickup truck and an Amtrak train collided in a small Mississippi town of Flora. The city of New Orleans was headed to Chicago. Cubs over Milwaukee 2-1. Houston beat the White Sox 5-3. The news, a service of CiCi's Pizza. Ready for an adventure and flavor? CiCi's brings 3 new flatbread pizzas to the unlimited buffet. Try the new Spinach Alfredo, Chicken Bacon Club, and Honey Barbecue Chicken. More flavor to explore for the same great value. Just $5 and change only at CiCi's. Better believe it. 6:34 is our time. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity believes it's a good idea for Trump to hold on to his tax return.
It's going to look confusing, and it's going to be distorted and twisted by a media that's going to say, see, he didn't pay his fair share. He paid only 22% of his income in taxes because he used this loophole and that loophole. Well, that's the way you guys set it up. So I actually think Trump's smart not to release his taxes because there's no good that's going to come out of it.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer. Illinois deserves an honest analysis of the problems facing our state. Avoid the spin from the mainstream media and Springfield insiders by tuning in to Illinois Rising every Sunday at 3 p.m. AM 560's Dan Proft and the Illinois Policy Institute tackle the policy and political issues that matter most and discuss possible solutions. So if you're sick of the status quo, then be sure to listen to Illinois Rising this Sunday at 3 p.m. on AM 560. The Answer.
We're so excited about our sold-out golf outing at the Bolingbrook Golf Club coming up on Thursday, June 16th to benefit Operation Support Our Troops America.
If you weren't able to get in this year, don't worry. You can still reserve a tee time at the Bolingbrook Golf Club anytime this spring or summer by visiting BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
And thanks to the sponsors who are making our golf outing possible.
Remax Professionals, Charity Golf International, Dr. Amy and Associates, MJ Miller and Company Jewelers in Barrington, Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, and Pearl Mortgage.
Tea times, golf outings, driving range, golf academy, brunch, dinner, weddings, banquets, receptions. Find and do it all at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Info online at BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
It's so important businesses who share conservative values work together and support each other so our companies thrive. If you're a manufacturer, I encourage you to call Laz Kolchar from Automated Systems. As a software and systems integration company, they create custom solutions to make your production lines, facilities, and plants run more efficiently. Imagine less downtime, more speed, and fewer rejects. It doesn't matter if you're a Fortune 500 or a startup. Automated Systems delivers solutions for your toughest automation challenges. At Freedom Summit, Laz wowed the crowd with the story of escaping communism, coming to the U.S., and building a successful company. And I know that Laz and Automated Systems can wow your company by making it more profitable. If you even suspect that Automated Systems could benefit your manufacturing company, then call Laz at Automated Systems at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit AutomatedSYS.com. The number again, 844-HIRE-ASI.
637. In our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center, let's get the latest now with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Stevenson is absolutely jammed again this morning with heavy delays, most of the way from 126 to 83, LaGrange Road to Kedzie, and State to Lakeshore Drive. It's an hour and 25 minutes from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, an hour and 5 minutes from the Tri-State. Outbound, it's still okay. Eden's 27 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 20. The Kennedy is 26 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 27. The Eisenhower, 50 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 35. The Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown, I-57. 40 minutes, I-80 to the Merge, Bishop 425. Northbound Tri-States, though, 115th to 87th. From the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis and from the Reagan Solway to North Avenue. Traffic is a service of Napa Auto Parts. Now through May 31st at participating Napa Auto Parts stores, you can get Napa conventional motor oil at a great low price. Keep your ride running longer, stronger with Napa know-how. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Sunshine today, high 68. A moonlit sky overnight, low 46. 40 officially at O'Hare, 49 along the lakefront, 39 in Lansing. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Advanced Planning Advisors, bringing you Smart Money Talk with Mike Moylan and Rob Curvin, Saturday mornings at 6.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So there was a rally in the capital of the Greece of the Midwest yesterday. That's, of course, Illinois. And, similar kind of bedwetting attitude of those that think you should be able to retire at 52 with a guaranteed seven-figure pension and essentially live at someone else's expense, and the politicians who set up the system and are unwilling to change it even as the state careens towards insolvency. I mean, functionally is $212 billion in debt, $30 billion in assets. I don't know what you call that. I call it bankruptcy. Here's what you heard. 8,000 strong public sector unions in the public sector union-centric state that is Illinois.
fight back. Ron says come back. We say fight back. Ron says come back. We say fight back. Ron says come back. We say fight back.
Ron says cut back. We say fight back. Yeah.
They need to articulate a little more, first of all.
Yeah.
I want to get their message.
Their diction could be improved. Ronner was asked about this. He was on the trail.
Didn't they storm by his house, too? Sorry for interrupting, but didn't they take it to the streets then after that, and they marched in front of the governor's mansion?
Yeah, I'm
where
sure.
he wasn't even... Do they know that those people, they're not home?
He was out on the trail. He was in Carterville, actually, in southern Illinois, and Ronner was asked about the protest, and he had this to say.
Not in Springfield. I think there's several thousand protesters there right now. So, I mean, there's a lot of people. You know what? If it's funny, if Illinois... If yelling and chanting and protesting solved problems, Illinois wouldn't have any problems. I mean, we have a lot of that.
Oh, that's good.
Good response. But he was very conciliatory to the public sector unions in spite of their lack of conciliatory response. And I just don't know if that's really serving the interest. At some point, after he successfully negotiated some 17 collective bargaining agreements with other unions representing public sector workers, small groups, at some point you're going to have to draw the line with AFSCME, the largest public sector union in terms of representing the majority of state workers. You're going to have to draw the line and kind of tell them this is the last best final offer. And
why hasn't he delivered that ultimatum yet?
Well, I don't exactly know the answer to that question. I think it should have been delivered some time ago. And at some point, it's going to be put upon him if he doesn't kind of control the timing of all this. Here was a little bit more from the rally. So any thought that there was going to be a grand bargain that could still be worked out by the end of the month when the General Assembly is scheduled to adjourn, any thought that was going to happen? And Madigan is a reasonable guy trying to find compromise. Well, here was Mike Madigan at the rally yesterday.
Tell me how you feel. Governor Rauner wants to change workers' compensation. How do you feel? Governor Rauner wants to change collective bargaining. How do you feel? Governor Rauner wants to change the prevailing wage. How do you feel? Governor Rauner wants to use the government to lower wages. How do you feel? Governor Rauner wants to use the government to lower the standard of living. How do you feel? Governor Rauner in workers' compensation wants to send injured workers to the emergency room. How do you feel? Governor Rauner wants to send injured workers to the welfare. How do you feel? Here's the last question. Governor Rauner wants Illinois to go right to work. How do you feel?
I want you to think for yourself. How do you feel? No! So there's your public sector unions. I mean, the union workforce, the union workforce represents about 15% of the overall universe of workers in Illinois. 15%. But they have a disproportionate impact because they control the politicians through the campaign cash they funnel to the likes of Mike Madigan. And the question is, when are we going to suggest that the public sector unions and this public sector union-centric state we have is no longer the model that we can indulge? When is that going to happen? And by the way, Michael Kerrigan, who emceed this rally at the Capitol, Michael Kerrigan, the president of the AFL-CIO here, said all of this devastation is due to one man, a mega millionaire who thinks his huge wealth means he can be able to impose his will on the entire state. Really? All of what's wrong with Illinois is Governor Rauner, the guy who got here 15 months ago, from the same people who are still saying that President George W. Bush drove the economy into a ditch and Barack Obama's, giving him 7 years to dig out is not enough. But this is all one man.
I know.
All one man.
What would have Pat Quinn have done?
He would have done more of the same. He would have done what he did for his 4-5 years, unremarkable years as governor. He would have deepened
the debt,
the problem. Right? And Mike Madigan is deepening the problem purposefully because this is about November and about continuing to hope and, frankly, expect that Illinois families will not be able to connect the dots between their local Democrat roll call vote for Mike Madigan and Mike Madigan. Mike Madigan's bad, right? Mike Madigan's numbers in the state are terrible. He's viewed unfavorably by kind of multiples of 4 and 5 to 1 throughout the state. So everybody knows who Mike Madigan is now, this House Speaker, the longest-serving state House Speaker in the history of our country. And they know what he's done and what's happened in Illinois over his 40-year reign of terror. But they don't connect the dots to their local representative who pretends to be one thing in district and then goes to Springfield and just says no when Mike Madigan asks the question that demands a no answer and says yes when Mike Madigan asks a question that demands the yes answer.
Well, why don't they question authority? Why doesn't somebody stand up to him and just let him know what he's doing to the state? I mean, has Governor Rauner sat down with him and
what is sitting down with him? This is nothing. Sitting down with him is a pointless exercise. He's not interested. His rhetoric there at the rally, his statement after the 4 legislative leaders met with the governor earlier this week, which is, Rauner's continued assault on middle-class families and so on and so forth, the typical left-wing pablum. So the point is to pitch the battle, to draw the line and launch on Madigan and his public sector union financiers and to present the choice with crystal clarity to Illinois families. And it was presented yesterday. It was presented yesterday by Stephanie. Listen to big, tough guy, AFL-CIO President Michael Kerrigan introduce Stephanie, who had some words of wisdom for the assembled masses.
Illinois is seriously endangered by the governor's refusal to work on a fair budget. Stephanie Score is a student at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign who has helped to organize a livelier protest against the governor, and she is here to be with us today.
He, she,
yeah.
He, she? What's coming next, Dad?
Remember that. You ready for Stephanie?
Yeah, I think so.
Here's this delicate little flower that Michael Kerrigan, big tough guy, introduced.
Hello, Illinois. Hi, let's make some noise.
Woo! Make some noise. We at a dance club?
My name is Stephanie Scora. I am a proud transgender woman. I am a lifelong Illinois resident, and last Sunday I graduated from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And I am here today with all of you because I have a message for Governor Rauner from the students and the people of Illinois. You may have heard that Governor Rauner paid a visit to my school last month. We sent him packing after only 2 minutes of speaking.
So, question for the trades, the operating engineers, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, all the real men.
You sound like Mark Conkle.
The city that works hard and plays hard. Have a beer after work and go hunting and go to the ball games and love the Blackhawks. All you tough guys in fire stations and police departments and union halls around the state. You going to continue hiding behind Stephanie's skirt? Because that's what you're doing. That's what's happened to Illinois. Well, you sit silently by and allow the Moulin Rouge in Springfield, pretending that it's not my problem. Hey, they set up the system, so what am I supposed to do about it? You're going to do it? That's what you're doing. All you tough guys. All you tough guys. All the big union guys with the union jackets. And I have no problem with the unions and the jobs they do, except for this. You think you can just not participate and somehow it absolves you of responsibility for the destruction of this state. Well, a dink like Madigan, who has Steve Brown cut up his apples for him for lunch, and Stephanie from the University of Illinois are your mouthpieces. And that's what they are, your mouthpieces, because your union leadership falls right in line with Stephanie and Madigan. Pathetic. Pathetic.
I need the dues. Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Plenty of sunshine throughout the day, a high of 68 degrees. Then tonight, a moonlit sky, a low of 46. And for your Friday, it's going to be partly sunny. Pretty much a repeat of today, but a little bit warmer, a high near 70 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. The Edens is 30 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 25. The Kennedy, now 35 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 40. The Eisenhower, an hour and 15 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, 58 minutes from Manheim, outbound 40 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 25 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, but the delays start as far south as Lockport Road. Outbound, it's now 50 minutes to 3:55. The Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 40 minutes, I-80 to the Murray Bishop, 427. Northbound Tri-State, slow 127th to 87th. From the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis. And the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Northbound Veterans Memorial, it's bottled up Boughton to Maple with a crash on the right shoulder. And from the Army Trail Toll to Lake. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Key reports today offering perspective on our economy. Business leaders grappling with new overtime rules. Those stories next.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a SelectQuote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-431-0848. That's 1-800-431-0848. 1-800-431-0848. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors not available in all states.
Wall Street considering a possible interest rate hike by the Fed next month. Investors looking at reports today on whether the economy is improving, new jobless claims figures, and a consumer comfort index, all of interest to investors. Businesses nationwide still pouring through the implications of the Labor Department's new rules on overtime. Business groups arguing the changes represent burdens in scheduling and paperwork nightmares because the administration just added more than 4 million workers who can now qualify for overtime pay. A Burger King restaurant in Helsinki, Finland has added something unusual, a sauna. Customers don't eat in the steam bath, but the local franchise says it does combine fast food with tradition. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Many of you own or manage growing companies, and you know that your entire business depends on your phones. If your phone service provider struggles to deliver your calls, it can mean lost revenue. It's often the case with an outdated phone system. The solution? Well, it's a company that we use here at AM 560. That company's Innovative Networks. They excel at providing innovative solutions to reinforce your company's phone infrastructure and enhance call flow. We truly appreciate how comprehensive, diligent, and cost-effective Innovative Networks was in providing solutions that scale as our business expands. Innovative Networks can even replace your outdated phone system at no cost and provide hands-on training to maximize your capabilities. You'll save money and be more focused on growing your business. Here at AM 560, we're thrilled with Innovative Networks, so follow our lead and call Innovative Networks at 312-453-7777. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Call 312-453-7777, 312-453-7777, or visit go4inet.com. That website, go4inet.com.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
If you use a free credit monitoring service, you may think it will also protect your identity. But what you may not realize is that some free credit monitoring services feel free to sell your personal information. And that's a big price to pay. At LifeLock, we would never, ever sell your personal information. Instead, we help to protect you from identity theft by using proprietary technology to detect and alert you to a wide range of potential threats. And in the event that we discover a problem, we have a team of US-based specialists who will work to resolve it. Of course, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock helps to protect you without selling your information. Remember, free credit monitoring can cost you your personal information. LifeLock memberships start at just $9.99 a month plus applicable taxes. And now you can get 10% off a LifeLock membership. Go to LifeLock.com and enter promo code NEWS. LifeLock.
AM 560, The Answer.
So it's a piece of American history. Do you agree? The George Zimmerman gun, the gun that he used to kill Trayvon Martin, because finally it has sold.
Georgie has got a gun, and now he doesn't have a gun. This was a auction hosted by United Gun Group. The winning bid for his 9mm that was used in the 2012 shooting death of Martin?
$6 million.
No.
$2 million.
$120,000.
Now, what do you think about that?
I think that a gun that can be purchased for $300 to spend $120,000 for it, and the ghoulish nature of it, the death of Trayvon Martin is nothing to celebrate.
No.
I wouldn't want memorabilia from that. Either there are incidents that can be such that that kind of neither side is wearing a white hat, and I would suggest that's the case in the Zimmerman Trayvon Martin matter. And I find the whole thing rather distasteful.
Really? But other people have memorabilia from mass murderers like John Wayne Gacy. They have his clown paintings and things like that. There's something for everybody out there.
I find that distasteful, too.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're serious about selling your home, now is the time. Supply is low and it's a great seller's market in many Chicagoland neighborhoods. I've done the research, and along with my Salem Radio colleagues, Mike Gallagher and Michael Medved, we all recommend that you call Saul. Saul Z and the Z team are so good that if they don't sell your home in 59 days, they'll sell it for free, guaranteed. Saul is ranked 106 out of 1.2 million agents by the Wall Street Journal. His proven marketing system is so effective that he sells on average a home every single day, attracting multiple full-price offers. That demand helps sell your home fast and at the highest price. It's a no-brainer. If I were selling a home in Chicagoland, I'd call Saul. Go online to callsaul.net or call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's callsaul, SAUL.net, or 888-346-0666. You'd better call Saul.
The ALS Association Greater Chicago Chapter is fighting ALS every day on every front. They're the preeminent leader in the fight against ALS in the state of Illinois and provide superior care services and resources to those living with ALS. The Greater Chicago Chapter funds the only 2 certified treatment centers of excellence at University of Chicago and University of Illinois. They're the leaders in funding national and international ALS research. Advocate tirelessly on Capitol Hill for those who have ALS and work closely with the Department of Defense, who provide funding for ALS research and ALS veteran care. Military personnel are 2 to 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with ALS than the general population. You can help the fight to stop ALS. Run their marathon, join one of their 3 walks, or play in their golf outing. Just call 312-932-0000. That's 312-932-0000 for more information about the ALS Association Greater Chicago Chapter.
Text, Madigan likes apples and I'm Union and voting Republican. Hey, Madigan, how do you like them apples?
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Charles Ortel, he's a financial analyst that did a hard look at the Clinton Foundation, and he's got some opinions about their creative accounting.
And our aldermen are calling for privatizing security at O'Hare airports, at O'Hare and at Midway. We'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a Schaumburg woman sentenced for killing her disabled daughter. The mayor is proposing a transgender bathroom ordinance for the city of Chicago. Union protesters rally against Rauner at the state capitol, while a judge sets a trial date in a lawsuit against Tammy Duckworth. Sunny and 68 in your forecast for today. A complete look at weather after Fox News on AM 560 and WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Dave Anthony. It turned, it dropped, then it crashed. We're learning more about the Egypt Air flight that vanished from radar flying from Paris to Cairo. Egypt's civil aviation minister just said he doesn't know if
this is a terrorist attack or a pure accident. It's too early to tell.
66 people who were on board, including 2 babies. Fox's Simon Owen live in our European bureau.
Dave, the plane dropped off radars shortly after leaving Greek airspace. The Greek defense minister saying the jet was at a cruising altitude. Officials say the pilot appeared to be in good spirits. He spoke with air traffic controllers. But the plane then made sudden swerves and plunged before disappearing over the Mediterranean Sea. This was in Egyptian airspace. Greece and Egypt have dispatched search planes and ships. French President Francois Hollande confirming the plane crashed and saying nothing can be ruled out as to the cause, including terrorism. The Paris prosecutor's office has opened an investigation. Dave?
Some U.S. Air Force jet crashed on Guam early this morning after takeoff, but all 7 crew members survived, escaping unhurt. Donald Trump likes a new Fox poll, giving him a slight lead over Hillary Clinton in a head-to-head nationwide presidential matchup, 45 to 42%, though neither candidate is well liked. 61% of those polled have an unfavorable view of Clinton. 56% say the same about Trump. Trump used the R word talking about Bill Clinton's past.
Donald Trump sitting down with Fox News host Sean Hannity to discuss past allegations against former President Bill Clinton involving several women.
In one case, it's about exposure. In another case, it's about groping and fondling and touching against a woman's will.
And rape. Trump suggesting the media is smearing him while some Democrats get a free pass. This follows an unflattering New York Times article suggesting the real estate mogul behaved inappropriately with women in the workplace.
That's Fox's Tom Graham. Trump calls that article false. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Sunny skies, 43 degrees, 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A group of city officials and aldermen want to get rid of the TSA at Chicago's 2 airports. 4 aldermen introducing a resolution calling for privatized passenger screenings at O'Hare and Midway. Alderman Ed Burke was one of the 4 who introduced that resolution.
It's working in San Francisco, isn't it? And it's working in 20 other airports around the country. What we do know is it's not working here with TSA.
The move comes after long security lines forced thousands of travelers to miss flights. The mayor is scheduled to meet with the director of the TSA tomorrow. A Schaumburg woman is given 4 years in prison for killing her disabled daughter. Bonnie Lutz was sentenced yesterday after pleading guilty to involuntary manslaughter. Governor Bruce Rauner is signaling a cool reception to legislation that raises the base salary for home care workers to $15 an hour. The Illinois House approved that idea Wednesday. The governor prefers the bargaining table as a place to settle wages. Hundreds of union supporters rallied outside the Illinois Capitol to protest the governor's calls for change to some collective bargaining policies. A coalition of labor groups marched on the governor's mansion Wednesday on their way to the Capitol. A judge in southern Illinois set an August 15 trial date in a workplace retaliation lawsuit filed against U.S. Senate candidate Tammy Duckworth. Mark Kirk's campaign has highlighted the case in TV ads accusing Duckworth of mistreating veterans and trying to silence whistleblowers. Metra officials this morning say they'll resume work on a possible extension of the suburban Chicago commuter rail service into Kendall County. They're getting some backing from local government leaders. Metra said yesterday the project would provide service between Chicago and Montgomery, Oswego, and Yorkville. The BNSF extension could also continue west into Plano and Sandwich. Cubs beat Milwaukee 2-1. Houston over the White Sox 5-3. On the ice, the Penguins own a 2-1 series advantage in the NHL's Eastern Conference Finals after a 4-2 win over Tampa Bay. The news service of Burger King breakfast. Right now at Burger King, get an awesome deal on breakfast. 2 Croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4, piled high with thick-cut bacon or savory sausage, fluffy eggs, and melted cheese. 2 Croissant, $4. Only at Burger King, limited time only. Price and participation vary. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Republican Party faces an existential crisis.
What is it that we need to do to unify the Republican Party and all strains of conservative wings in the party?
As the shadow of Trump looms large over the party.
I don't think I'm a divisive person. I'm a unifier.
Meanwhile, you're just wondering who the heck to vote for this fall. And we're here to help.
Everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie to benefit themselves and their people.
The latest news, opinion, and insight only on your election station, AM 560. The Answer.
World, say hello to some old friends. It's been a long time, but they remember you. They're my toes, and they've been hidden ever since I got nail fungus. Yeah, nail fungus. I know, embarrassing, right? Really ugly stuff that I just couldn't get rid of. Tried several doctors, took pills, creams, even considered surgery. Of course, with that, you lose your nail, and there's no guarantee that the fungus won't come back. So I tried Clear Touch. Clear Touch is a little handheld device you use at home. It's painless because it uses light. Yes, light to travel fast and deep. I can't believe I went so long hiding my toes when this simple, inexpensive solution was waiting right there at Clear Touch. Clear Touch is even cleared by the FDA because it's safe and works. Yeah, my toes saw the light. So, world, I'd appreciate it if you could pass the word about Clear Touch, the phototherapy solution that works. Call 800-279-7573. That's 800-279-7573. That's 800-279-7573 or cleartouchnails.com.
It's the Ready to Ride sales event and time to gear up for your ultimate adventure. Enjoy summertime fun on a Can-Am ATV, side-by-side, Can-Am Spyder, or Sea-Doo watercraft. Hurry in by May 31st and save up to $2,500 on select 2015 models. Plus, get great financing. Get ready to ride because the fun starts now. Visit Nielsen Enterprises in Lake Villa. Subject to credit approval. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. For safety and training info, contact the ATV Safety Institute.
People all across the country are enjoying the flexibility of working when they want, earning extra money on their schedule when they drive with Uber.
With Uber, you can write your own paycheck. You sign up, you get approved, and you start earning money right away. Right away, like the next day. Turn it off when you want to make money, you turn it off when you don't. It's just that simple. What are you waiting for?
Enjoy the flexibility of working when you want, earning extra money on your schedule. Sign up to Drive with Uber today. Go to drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
7:07 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the very latest now with Jim Talamonte.
Like in Riverside and Berwyn, Harlem remains closed between 26th and 31st for crash investigation. The Edens is 30 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. The Kennedy, 45 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 50. The Eisenhower, an hour and 20 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, an hour and 5 minutes from Manheim, outbound 50 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 25 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, an hour 5 from the Tri-State, outbound 50 minutes to 355. The Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State delays from 127th to 87th. From Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Adams Tollway delays, Roselle to 53 and Elmhurst Road to the River Road toll. Veterans Memorial, so International Parkway to Maple with a crash on the right shoulder, and from the Army Trail toll to Lake. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Mostly sunny today with a high of 68 and a moonlit night, low 46. Partial sunshine tomorrow with a high 69 and a partly cloudy night with a low 48. Clouds and sun for Saturday, high 71. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently, we have 40 at O'Hare, 47 along the lakefront, 46 at Midway, and your next news update at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by College Illinois. Secure your child's future by enrolling them today at collegeillinois.org.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
What about what Clinton's done? In one case, it's about exposure. In another case, it's about groping and fondling and touching against a woman's will. And rape. And rape.
The chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, I mean, it's been pretty clear, Steve, from almost from the get-go, that she has been working against Bernie Sanders. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
And the fact is, with both New York looking at this, Atlanta looking at it, now Chicago, it's a wake-up call to TSA.
I could see that the Democrats were going to pass another out-of-balance budget. So every year they've been passing a budget that's either $4 or $5 billion deficit with no money to pay for it.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Donald Trump has tweeted his reaction to the crash of that Egypt airplane overnight that was traveling from Paris to Cairo.
I hope he was sensitive.
He tweeted, "Looks like yet another terrorist attack. Airplane departed from Paris. When will we get tough, smart, and vigilant? Great hate and sickness." And we don't know that yet, but certainly there are some indicators that something other than pilot error or mechanical error were at play with the crash because there was no distress call that has been reported to this point. And there was communication with the pilot, and then the pilots went dark, and then they went into the Mediterranean.
Yeah, and 2 minutes after they last spoke with Greek civil aviation authorities, one of the pilots checked in. 2 minutes after that, when they went into Egyptian airspace, the plane went 90 degrees right, then 360 degrees left, and then it just disappeared off the radar screen.
So we don't know for sure yet. We're updating this as information becomes available, but particularly thinking about the Egypt airplane crash that was bombed out of the sky with tourists that were vacationing in Sharm el-Sheikh last year, Russian tourists, and then Russia subsequently banning Egypt Air from its airspace. You have to at least contemplate the possibility of a terrorist attack. So we'll continue to update that as we know. But turning to the Clinton Foundation, and this is going to be an issue that reasserts itself in a general election. So all the talk last year into the fall when that book by Peter Schweitzer, Clinton Cash, came out about the Clinton Foundation, its curious accounting, its curious relationships, the funding that it accepted, that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton had agreed as a predicate to Hillary being elevated to Secretary of State. They had agreed with the Obama administration they would not accept. All kinds of questions, including, I should say, the FBI investigation looking into her email server. Also, a lot of reports suggesting that they are also looking into how she used the Secretary of State's office in connection with the Clinton Foundation. Was she leveraging the office to do the bidding of the Clinton Foundation? A lot of questions here. Well, Charles Ortel, who is an investor and gained a financial analyst, and gained a recognition back in 2008 for correctly identifying problems with GE's financial statements. He has now set his sights on the Clinton Foundation, and he spent the last 15 months investigating the financial reporting of the Clinton Foundation. And let's find out what he found out. We welcome Charles Ortel, private investor based in New York, financial analyst, to the show. Charles, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
So what were some of the highlights from your year-plus investigation into the Clinton Foundation?
Well, it's actually a pretty sad set of findings. And you start with the fact that a presidential charity actually is a perfect vehicle for fraud, because who would suspect that anything operated by a former president, whatever your politics may be, would allow itself to be submitting documents to the federal government and then to all the states, including your own state, Illinois, that are false and materially misleading, and then raising billions of dollars, choosing to declare only some of those as incoming receipts. So what I did, I actually am interested in setting up a new business, catering to people who believe this country is exceptional, who have wealth, who want to keep it, and who like to find good charities in which they'll send some money. And I decided, hearing about the Clinton Foundation was so complicated, that I ought to look at its papers to understand what was really going on. And last year, I reached the conclusion it was a fraud. And I wrote an article for Breitbart in March, and I began then putting detailed reports up on my site, www.charlesortel.com. And then I started contacting state authorities, and nothing happened. And it finally reached a point where I said, this is such a big fraud. People are sending money into this thing, as we're on the radio right now. They solicit using the Internet. They have not turned off, they haven't corrected their false and materially misleading forms. And I'll give you an example of somebody who's been defrauded. A very famous person, I may not pronounce his name properly, is Fred Eichner,
Yeah, sure. In Chicago, yeah.
Yeah. Well, starting in 2004, his very well-run foundation called the Alphawood Foundation, all of these papers are publicly available, shows that that foundation gave money to an entity called Clinton Foundation HIV/AIDS Initiative, Inc., which was never formally approved as a charity. And these grants are substantial. And the monies then went supposedly into China to fight HIV/AIDS. Well, the Chinese charity fraud penalties are severe. Death is the penalty. And if you're not registered properly in the United States, you cannot possibly be registered properly in China. And that's just one small example. We're talking there about less than 10 million cumulatively into the Chinese example.
Well, Charles, before we dig any deeper, just remind us again, who benefits from the Clinton Foundation? Who has been helped by them?
Well, it's virtually impossible to say because foundations of this size are required to provide an audit, a real audit, not a fake audit. And these audits generally are quite tough. You check and double-check that the amounts sent to the foundation were received by the foundation. This entity, which started October 23rd, 1997, has never gotten a real audit. So they like to claim that the biggest operation is fighting HIV/AIDS, but that operation was never lawfully authorized anywhere. And there are big holes in amounts that people claim they've sent. The biggest donor to the Clinton Foundation is a group in Switzerland, which says it sent $600 million to the Clintons for this operation, for HIV/AIDS. Well, the entity that performs that work, that initiative, is based in Boston and had its license to operate involuntarily revoked on March 31st, 2008, as the Clinton Foundation was receiving from the Swiss thing several $100 million, of which about $100 million disappeared in the period 2007 to 2008. So nobody seems to have done the kind of cross-checking that you can do, that I've been doing for the last 15 months. Unitaid, which is that donor, publishes public financial statements which are online. And the Clintons are online, and they don't foot. The Gates Foundation has given money. Its disclosures do not foot. Governments have given money. Those disclosures do not foot. And actually, this is an Illinois issue. Bill Clinton is the honorary chairman of the American India Foundation, another fraud that has recently held a fundraiser in Illinois, even though it had its license to operate revoked twice. And I happen to know Bruce Rauner. I've spent some time with him. He's a great guy, and I think he may have the problem that many states have, that the apparatus, the regulatory apparatus of these charities is controlled by Clinton allies.
Well, right, like Lisa Madigan, the Attorney General here, in terms of any investigation in terms of improper paperwork, or, as you suggest, the dissolution or never filing paperwork, or the dissolution of charities, and so kind of the oversight there. It's interesting. So Fred Eichner is a billionaire, kind of leftist donor and philanthropist, and this American India Foundation in Illinois. Is this just a case, like the Clintons have said in the past when they've had to refile tax returns, a little sloppy bookkeeping? Maybe we didn't file the right papers, kind of blame the accountant game. But that all the work is real and all the money that's been received has been put to good use. Is that possible?
It is absolutely impossible. Let me give you another piece of the puzzle. A central figure in these frauds is someone who spent time in your city, a man called Rajat Gupta, who was chairman of McKinsey and who has spent some time in prison recently for insider trading. He began to get involved with the Clinton Foundation, the American India Foundation, in January 2001. And the public record shows clearly that Rajat Gupta was working with Vinod Gupta, no relation, of Info Group. And that's a case where Info Group, this Vinod Gupta guy, looted money from a publicly traded company and sent it through an LLC, a corporation in Nevada called MindSpirit, into the hands of Bill Clinton, Chelsea Clinton, and Hillary Clinton between 2002 and 2008, and that is a matter of public record. So Rajat Gupta was also centrally involved as a co-chairman of the American India Foundation, and I'm trying to get people to put these links together. I mean, this is a matter of grave concern to me personally, because I care about good charities. I should hasten to add that I'm not interested in elected politics. I don't like either party. I don't like the Clintons. I don't like their track record. But, I'm not a political operative. I have no interest in being in any government role whatsoever. I just feel that, it's actually the poor people, the bottom 80% of this country gives the most to charity, and they expect a charity with a president's name on it to be run properly. And so I want to make sure this thing is exposed. I want to make sure that people who are guilty of fraud are punished mercilessly. And I think this should be a good example to make sure people around President Obama, when he operates the charity that's being set up in your city, that they operate it scrupulously, because a presidential charity can do a lot of good work if it's run properly.
So, are you suggesting that what the Clinton Foundation effectively is like the charitable version of Bernie Madoff, that the money being sent is real, but all of the work is imaginary and it's just being used for lavish lifestyles for Clinton Inc.?
That's exactly what I'm suggesting, and the scale is massive. It's not simply the Clinton Foundation. In addition, Rajat Gupta and the Clintons have been involved with something called the Global Fund, which is a gigantic fund that is a fraud, that is run with taxpayer money around the world. Rajat Gupta was chairman of that. There's a $13 billion fraud in Haiti, where the people, I've been on the phone recently with some aggrieved people in Haiti, and the record suggests that the Clintons have been operating a massive scam, and the people in Haiti are poorer than they've ever been. So it really is. This is an area where I think people on the left and the right can agree that whatever the purpose of the charity, whether it's progressive or conservative, a charity should be run as a charity and not as a scheme to enrich the insiders who are around the charity and government leaders who want to live high once they leave their government position. This is an awful track record, and the evidence is there in the public domain, unlike Schweitzer stuff. You can find this just Googling, as I have done.
It's surprising that they're not in jail.
Well,
I mean, really.
Charles Ortel, private investor based in New York. We're going to be continuing to watch your work as you do your kind of one-man investigation of the Clintons. CharlesOrtel.com is the website where you can get more details on everything that you've discovered through your research. And we look forward to speak with you again. Thanks so much for your time.
Anytime.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
That's
Hades,
fascinating.
I know.
I want to watch what this guy discovers.
And Hades, where the Clintons honeymooned, and they've allegedly been in love with the island nation ever since. First, here's your forecast today. Yeah, mostly sunny, a high of 68 degrees. And for Friday, it's going to be partly sunny skies, another pleasant day, a high near 70 degrees. Any pleasantries on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Amy, it's really heavy again this morning. The Edens is 30 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. The Kennedy now 55 minutes either way between O'Hare and downtown. The Eisenhower, an hour and 15 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 53 minutes. The Stevenson, an hour and a half from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, an hour and 10 minutes from the Tri-State, outbound 45 minutes to 355. Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, stop and go 115th to 31st. And then from the Reagan Tollway to the Grand Avenue curve southbound, we now see congestion from 120 to 137. Adams Tollway, stop and go Roselle to 53, and Elmhurst Road to the River Road Toll. Veterans Memorial jammed International Parkway to Maple after a crash, and from the Army Trail Toll to Lake. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Attention firearm enthusiasts. You've heard me talk about Schrank's Smoke and Gun Family Atmosphere and how they carry the largest selection of new, used and consignment firearms in Lake County. They have over 700 guns in stock to see and handle, as well as a huge supply of range ammo, including the elusive 22 LR. You'll find pistols, rifles, shotguns, and hard-to-find calibers, collectibles, and older functioning hunting rifles. Schrank's has full gunsmith services, from simple detail cleaning to complete rebuilds. Whether you're thinking about your first firearm or a FOID card or looking to add to your collection, visit Schrank's Smoke and Gun. If you have a firearm to sell, Schrank's needs your firearms. And if you love cigars like Dan Prof does, you'll find your favorites in Schrank's humidors, along with a broad selection of pipes and tobacco. So visit smoke, the letter N, gun.org, or call 847-662-4034. Schrank Smoke and Gun in Waukegan, your family-owned gun store since 1964. That's 847-662-4034.
Hi, I'm Dr. Howard. In my travels, I occasionally hear a Balance of Nature ad on the radio. These products are the culmination of my life's work, and I'm often surprised at my emotions that arise when people talk about how they have improved the quality of their life.
One thing that I'm amazed about is that prior to taking this, I was having hot flashes like almost every day, sometimes periodically, and haven't had them since then. So by all means, that's the one thing that I'm very grateful for.
These people are real. I'd like to thank the Balance of Nature customers for trusting me and for allowing me to help them in their pursuit of health.
Call now. Accept and complete Dr. Howard's 120-day challenge to earn a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Has the recent stock market volatility created anxiety over your retirement savings? As inflation accelerates, are you concerned your municipal bonds won't provide sufficient income for your retirement? If you answered yes to any of these questions, now is the time to contact Zacks Investment Management. With our award-winning strategies, we can help you navigate the complex world of investing to build a secure financial future. Call 1-800-777-5572 to speak with a Zacks financial advisor today. Zacks oversees several $1 billion and provides advice and guidance for thousands of high net worth investors like you. Call today at 1-800-777-5572 to speak with a Zacks financial advisor and receive a free, no-obligation portfolio review. That's Zacks Investment Management, 1-800-777-5572. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Potential for loss exists in any investment. Material is for informational purposes only. It is not investment, legal, accounting, or tax advice. A recommendation to buy, sell, or hold as security. No advice is given about a strategy's suitability for a particular investor.
AM 560, The Answer.
I'm going to try to control myself when you tell me the details of this proposed legislation, right, or pending legislation in Louisiana.
Louisiana is taking a look at strippers.
Okay.
The State House unanimously approved the bill to raise the minimum age for strippers to 21. That's headed to the governor's desk for signature.
Okay. So you have to be 21 to drink and 21 to take your clothes off. Right?
The Long brothers are rolling in their graves at hearing this. And then a state representative pulled a measure.
Did you say pulled or pulled? Kidding.
A measure.
Okay, Dan.
That would have required strippers in Louisiana to be no older than 28 and weigh no more than 160 pounds.
Oh, that is sexist and ageist, because there's some pretty women who are in their 40s. That people would pay good money to see
Why
strip.
do you think we have that cat pole in here? Or whatever you call it. Catwalk or stripper pole?
Oh, my God. It's a stripper pole, Dan, and it's a catwalk.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, so that's, no, really. Did you see the movie The Wrestler? Cesar Perez pointed this out. You saw the movie The Wrestler.
I did.
Marissa Tomei, her character she played, she was an older woman in her 40s, a stripper.
How about Striptease with Demi Moore and Burt Reynolds?
Yeah, she was older than 28.
She had been completely rebuilt from the ground up. So can't you make an exception if you've been completely rebuilt from the ground up like Demi Moore?
Or if you've Botox, if you've kept it tight, kept it real, kept it in shape for the past few decades.
Talk about working blue. Is that how you talk to your customers? No older than 28 and weigh no more than 160 pounds.
But some guys like fat. Oh my God, I shouldn't say
wow.
fat chicks. Wow.
So you're concerned it's discriminatory against guys. Is that what you're concerned about?
This is not right. Some people like a meatier woman.
Amy Jacobson, a champion for men who attend strip joints. Boy, I tell you.
I've been to a lot of strip clubs. Well, for reporting.
Of course. Of course for reporting.
No, I am.
You're a journalist.
No, I'm not kidding you. In El Paso, I went to a number of strip clubs because that was a feeding market for L.A.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was. It was like the AAA team.
You didn't have to spend $300 on lap dances, though.
No,
that's not part of the story.
No, I would critique them.
You would help them.
Well, yeah, because they all lived in my apartment complex at Kings Point in El Paso, right off of Mesa Drive there.
And what was the average age and weight?
Not 160 pounds. Average height was average age was low 20s. But average weight, I'd say, they're more on the skinny side, like 110, 130 at the most.
There should be like a height associated with this legislation too. I mean, you got to do a height-weight distribution.
We had to change
chart.
the dress code at our swimming pool because they couldn't have tan lines. So they wanted to wear G-strings, and management came out and said, no, you can't do that, but we got them to change the dress code.
Wow.
Because it affected their livelihood. I mean, really, the things I've done in my life to help the greater good of society
The
is
Susan
impressive.
B. Anthony of male patrons of strip clubs, Amy Jacobson.
I got a job following fat people around with a tuba.
Stop it! Cut it out! I have a glandular problem.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Flex Execs is a talent recruiting firm who, for almost 3 decades, has helped their clients become more competitive by identifying the right talent for interim assignments or special projects at the mid to senior level. Flex Execs' roster of talent is superior and unmatched. Flex Execs will help you meet your deadlines and goals, control costs, and place the right people who will deliver desired results. Whether you need one person or a team of people in HR, accounting, finance, marketing, operations, or senior leadership, Flex Execs can help. Their clients trust them to find the right people fast who produce results immediately. Connect online with Flex Execs at flex2016.com or call 630-655-0563 and ask for Chris Swanson or Karen Murphy. That's 630-655-0563 or online at flex2016.com. Flex Execs, proud to be a sponsor of Dan and Amy's Business Tour. Flex Execs online at flex2016.com. Flex2016.com. Flex Execs, moving business at the speed of trust.
AM 560, The Answer.
Now, you also opposed Amy, you also opposed the 21-year age requirement, right? Because your opinion is if you're old enough to die for your country, you're old enough to spin on a stripper pole.
Exactly, Dan.
Yeah. And by the way, I hope it's not lost on anybody that we segued from the Clintons to strippers.
Yeah,
They are
please.
connected.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk to Steve Moore from the Heritage Foundation about the move to impeach the IRS commissioner. That's at 7:37.
And then the latest of the disappearance of the Egypt Air Flight 804. Robert Mark will be here, an aviation expert. But first, we go to the newsroom. Singing in with here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, sunny and 52 degrees. The president of France talking to reporters, saying an Egypt airplane that went missing en route from Paris to Cairo has crashed. Fox's Simon Owen reports from the European Bureau.
French President Francois Hollande saying the information we have confirms that the plane came down and is lost. Also saying nothing can be ruled out as regards what happened. The Paris prosecutor's office has opened an investigation. In Greece, officials say the pilot appeared to be in good spirits as he communicated with Greek air traffic controllers, but contact was lost shortly before the jet left Greek airspace. The Greek defence minister saying the plane was at a cruising altitude, but then made sudden swerves and plunged before dropping off radar over the Mediterranean Sea. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
On board, 66 people flying from Paris to Cairo. A U.S. Air Force spokesperson says all 7 crew members made it out safely after their B-52 crashed on Guam shortly after takeoff this morning. The 36th Wing Commander says the bomber was carrying inert munitions and posed no danger to the local community. Donald Trump bringing up an old sexual assault accusation made against former President Bill Clinton on Fox last night.
It's not like the worst things, okay? You look at what Clinton's gone through with all of the problems and all of the things that he's done.
Hannity, in the interview on Sean Hannity's show about the New York Times bias story on Trump's relationship with women, and then Trump asked if the Times was going to interview women from Bill Clinton's past. Just moments ago, the golf course Muirfield has been ordered out of the rotation to host the British Open golf tournament after a vote today against allowing women to join. The Scottish club will remain men only after the decision by the group that owns it. The Royal and Ancient, which operates golf's oldest major championship, swiftly reacted by saying Muirfield will no longer be considered to host that event. They've hosted the British Open 16 times. A group of city officials wants to get rid of the TSA at Chicago's 2 airports. 4 aldermen introduced a resolution calling for privatized passenger screenings at O'Hare and Midway. A Schaumburg woman given 4 years in prison for killing her disabled daughter, Bonnie Liltz, was sentenced yesterday after pleading guilty to involuntary manslaughter. And Illinois officials this morning are aggressively fighting the preliminary decision to relocate a federal spy agency elsewhere in St. Louis rather than to a site across the Mississippi River in the Metro East suburbs in southern Illinois. Both of Illinois' U.S. Senator and 3 House members yesterday are criticizing the move by the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, saying it was politically motivated and could be a threat to national security if it moves to St. Louis. Chicago sports, Cubs over Milwaukee 2-1. Houston beat the White Sox 5-3. The news service of Napa Auto Parts. Stop by participating Napa Auto Parts stores now through the end of May. Get an easy-to-install Bluetooth car kit for just $14.99. That's Napa know-how. 7:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
A court ruled that a Catholic school could not hire a gay person.
The Joe Walsh Show.
If you've gotten to a place in this country where the government can tell a church who to hire and who not to hire, you're in a bad place. We're totally upside down.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you not understand that?
Psoriasis and vitiligo are serious diseases. You've tried everything and have been disappointed. Now there's X-Track, a breakthrough treatment that provides long-lasting, safe relief. X-Track is FDA cleared for the treatment of psoriasis and vitiligo and is endorsed by thousands of dermatologists and hospitals because it works. Clinical studies show immediate results with up to 95% clearance. The in-office visits are fast, painless, with virtually no side effects. With thousands of providers treating patients all over the country, X-Track is covered by all major insurance companies and Medicare. We'll help you find a doctor close by, and there is no cost to you until you see results. Get your life back. Live free. Live X-Track clear.
For your no-cost treatment, call now 800-972-3143. That's 800-972-3143. 800-972-3143 or visit xtracradio.com. Qualified patients, certain restrictions apply, results may vary.
Don't miss Cabela's Memorial Day sale and kick off the summer with huge savings and join them for their Hometown Heroes celebration Thursday through Sunday in Hoffman Estates or Hammond and Cabela's.com.
This is your captain speaking. You are now free to roam.
Fact. College Illinois 529 prepaid tuition can help pay tuition at schools across the nation, not just in Illinois. Purchase now and lock in your college cost at today's plan rates before the May 31st deadline. Enroll today at collegeillinois.org.
It's been called the greatest libertarian show on earth, attended by Donald Trump, Steve Forbes, Glenn Beck, and the most brilliant conservative minds today. It's Freedom Fest, July 13th through the 16th at the Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. This year, come hear Senator Rand Paul, author George Gilder, Judge Andrew Napolitano, and more. And don't miss your chance to win $25,000 in prizes organized by Shark Tank's Kevin Harrington. Register now at freedomfest.com and save $100 by using the code SALEM, all caps, at freedomfest.com.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
7:38 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The Edens is 32 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 30. The Kennedy, an hour and 5 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound, it's an hour. The Eisenhower, an hour and 20 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound now a full hour. The Stevenson, an hour and a half. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. Ryan, 35 minutes. 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound heavy, 120 to 137. Northbound slow, 115th to 47th. And Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Veterans Memorial jammed Archer to Maple with a crash on the right shoulder. It's the Butterfield to St. Charles. The Army Trail toll to Lake. Traffic service of Amtrak. Once-in-a-lifetime journeys depart daily. See where the train can take you. Go somewhere really fascinating. Your own country. Book a trip on Amtrak and get extra legroom, extra outlets, and panoramic windows for postcard-worthy views. Get 20% off with saver fares at Amtrak.com. Amtrak, see where the train can take you. Restrictions apply. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Sunny and 68 today. 40 at O'Hare. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning. Always on time or you don't pay a dime. Visit ac1hourair.com.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy, with respect to that Egypt airplane that was downed in the Mediterranean, it appears that it was downed. Both the Egyptian aviation minister as well as the Russian security minister are suggesting it was likely terror. We're going to talk to Robert Mark at 7:45 about that Egypt air crash. But now that you heard the music, we're happy to be joined by our friend Steve Moore, Chief Economist at the Heritage Foundation. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
Morning. So conservatives in the House are getting a little impatient with Paul Ryan as it pertains to the future of IRS Commissioner John Koskinen. And they're trying to force him to either hold hearings to impeach Koskinen or they're going to take it to the floor for a vote. What do you think of that?
I think the IRS has become a rogue agency under Obama. I think it's been used for, partisan purposes, for to create enemies lists against conservative groups, and I've been involved in some of that, a victim of that. So this is Nixonian, and it should be dealt with very harshly. I mean, we can't let government agencies be used for political purposes, and that's what Obama has turned the IRS into. And by the way, the IRS is arguably the most powerful federal agency of all. I mean, none of your rights are protected under the IRS. They can look into every private detail and private financial arrangement that you make in your life.
Speaking of the IRS, Donald Trump, in releasing his tax returns, the IRS said, yeah, I know you're under audit, but feel free to release your tax returns. Do you think that he should do this sooner rather than later, Stephen Moore?
I'm of the opinion he should not release his tax returns. I don't think anything good can come of it. If people don't want to vote for Donald Trump because he doesn't release his tax returns, that's fine. But, first of all, where's it written that a presidential candidate has to release their returns? The first 40 presidents of the United States didn't release their tax returns. And this is just a game of gotcha. He has thousands of pages of tax return being a rich man, and they're going to find something in there to persecute him on. So if I were him, I would never release those returns.
Well, point of order. I mean, we have only had an income tax since 1913.
You got me there.
There you go.
You have me there.
All right. But
that's why we shouldn't have an income tax. That's my point.
Okay.
Maybe if we didn't have an income tax, then it wouldn't be the government's business.
There'd be nothing to release. Yeah, that's right.
I want to know how much he's made from investments, and I want to know what charities he's giving to. I mean, you get a picture of his priorities.
You can want to know, and you can say mind your own business, and if you don't want to vote for him for that, that's your prerogative.
Oh, Stephen Moore taking a stand.
I just don't see anything that. Look, I don't think, Amy, with all due respect, that very many Americans really care very much about whether he releases his tax returns or not. And some people do, and if he doesn't do it. But look, my problem with releasing the returns is there's going to be something in there that's embarrassing or something in there that's going to be used against him. And I just don't see anything that good can come out of this. So I strongly shouldn't do it.
You just say you're taking it as a political calculation from Trump, not as a matter of principle or course.
I don't see why presidential candidate. Look, Mitt Romney's been running around the country with these. By the way, has anyone had a worse, more disgusting year than Mitt Romney? And his latest thing is, what was the word he used? Disqualifying if he doesn't release his returns.
Yes.
I mean, it is just jealousy is such an ugly thing, isn't it? But here's the thing that Mitt Romney did release his tax returns, and look where that got him.
Yeah. I have some good news for you, Steve.
You disagree with me on this. Yeah,
I do. I think. When I ran for governor, I released my tax returns. I think if you run for high office in this day and age, particularly because of the distrust, the rightly placed distrust in the political class and the state level, in a state like Illinois at least, and at the federal level, you should err on the side of transparency. I mean, I think you should release your tax returns.
I just don't see any positive. I am making a political point, actually. You're right. Mm-hmm. I don't see any political plus for Donald Trump. Only negatives can come out of this, and he's on a roll right now. He's going to be the next president.
he'll be, talking about if you're going to be talking about setting tax policies, and we want to know what deductions he's taken and charities that he's
Well,
given
that's
to.
the whole point. But that's his own private business. And people can say, oh, why did you give money to this charitable group or that charitable group? And I thought you said you had an income of this, but your tax return shows you only got a return.
Do you think he gave money to Planned Parenthood?
Well, who knows? But that's his own damn business. That's what I'm saying.
Well, so, Steve, I've got some good news for you.
Don't tell him.
I've got some good news for you.
If I think
All right, I need some good news this morning.
This has been a little tense. Earlier in the show, after Trump released his 11 potential candidates for Supreme Court justice yesterday.
Was I on that list?
You were not on the list.
Sorry.
You were not on the list.
Dan's not on the list either.
But I know the Heritage Foundation
I haven't seen the list. Is Ted Cruz on that list?
Ted Cruz isn't
I'm
on the list,
sad.
but Ted Cruz also said that his heart was never in being a Supreme Court justice, so he kind of dismissed that. But here's the good news. Amy has come out and said, thanks to your work and Donald Trump's release of those names, that she is voting for Donald Trump in November.
Who said that?
Amy, right here.
Oh, I've been working on you for 2 months, Amy.
Well, here's the deal.
Is
It's
this
not
true or is this a rumor?
No, it's true.
It's not a complete done deal yet because there's still some room for
I
error. You
knew.
got to keep him in shape. He's got to be
I
a
knew I
disciplined.
was achieving something by going on the show week after week after week.
Congratulations.
Case for Trump. And look, all you have to look at is what's happening on the Democratic side of the aisle. And you want to talk about the lesser of two evils.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. I'm voting for the party, not the person.
Yeah, but look, as you guys know, I've been working a little bit with Donald Trump on his not his tax returns, but his tax policy, and he's got a great we're working on this. He's going to have a tax plan that's going to make you guys both jump for joy. If you pay taxes, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to get a tax break, and he's going to bring that corporate tax rate down from 35% to 15%. That's going to bring jobs back to America. I think this is a really powerful plan he has. And contrast that with Hillary and Bernie Sanders. They said on Fox yesterday, I mean, Bernie Sanders wants 80% tax rates. Even the Sandinistas don't want rates that high.
Trump's plan is so good that Wesley Snipes is going to voluntarily agree to start paying taxes again.
There you go.
That's how good it is. Hey, Steve, quick question. Jim DeMint, your boss over there at the Heritage Foundation, was one of the conservatives invited to meet with Mark Zuckerberg to talk about how Facebook hates conservatives. I wonder if you got any report in terms of how that meeting went.
I have not heard anything back on that, but there is no question about it that Facebook has been, deleting conservative groups and conservative causes from its pages, and I think that's conservatives should to really think about whether they want to use Facebook and so on. I mean, it's become a liberal organization. I hope this is the start of Facebook changing its behavior and being a nonpartisan, and non-ideological organization. But right now, there's no question about it. The pattern of Facebook has been to promote liberal groups and causes and to denigrate conservative causes. The evidence is crystal clear about that.
Steve Moore, Chief Economist at the Heritage Foundation. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Oh, Amy, you just made my day. Thank you.
Well, I hope you have a very good day.
All week.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Steve.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Thought you were going to tell him about the strip clubs.
I didn't want to give him so much good news in one interview. Next week.
Well, we have some good news when it comes to the weather. Plenty of sunshine today, not a cloud in the sky, a high of 68 degrees. Then tomorrow, partly sunny skies, a few high clouds lingering around, and a little bit warmer, a high near 70. Any sunshine on the delays on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
It's pretty rough this morning, Amy and Dan. The Edens is 30 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, up on 35. The Kennedy, slow all the way in. It's an hour and 5 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 35 minutes from Montrose, 30 in the Express, out about an hour to O'Hare. The Eisenhower, an hour and 25 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, an hour 10 from Manheim, out about an hour to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and a half from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, out on 40 minutes. The Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. On the Tri-State, it's very slow northbound, 115th most of the way to 47th. And Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve, southbound heavy 120 to 137. Adams Tollway delays, Roselle to 53 and 28 to Lee. Veterans Memorial, I-60 stop-and-go traffic, Archer to Maple, Butterfield to St. Charles, and from the Army Trail Toll to Lake. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Special announcement. Backed by popular demand, the big Home Remodeling Expo. A free home show that's open to the public is coming to the DuPage County Fairgrounds this weekend only. If you're looking to remodel your kitchen, bathroom, basement, or maybe get a new roof, flooring, windows, or siding, then this is the event for you. At this two-day expo, you'll meet local and national contractors displaying their products and services, get new ideas, set up estimates, and talk directly with contractors, many of which are offering huge discounts. Maybe you need a new furnace, state-of-the-art generator, or just a handyman. You'll find everything you need under one roof. Not only will you get a free gift at the door, but come to the show between 10 a.m. and noon on Saturday, May 21st for a chance to win a key that could start a brand new Harley Davidson. Remember, the DuPage County Home Remodeling Expo this weekend only at the fairgrounds in Wheaton. Get more information at homeshowevent.com. That's homeshowevent.com.
Hey, it's important businesses who share conservative values work together and support each other so our companies thrive. If you're a manufacturer, I encourage you to call my very good friend Laz Kulchar from Automated Systems. As a software and systems integration company, they create custom solutions to make your production lines, facilities, and plants run way more efficiently. Imagine less downtime, more speed, and fewer rejects. It doesn't matter if you're a Fortune 500 company or a startup. Automated Systems delivers solutions for your toughest automation challenges. At Freedom Summit, Laz wowed the crowd with this story of escaping communism, coming to the U.S., and building a successful company. And I know that Laz and Automated Systems can wow your company by making it more profitable. If you even suspect that Automated Systems could benefit your manufacturing company, then call Laz at Automated Systems at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit SYS.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI.
Hi, I'm Lex Howard, CEO of Balance of Nature. Statistics show that most people will listen to this commercial 7 times before they finally purchase Balance of Nature. Don't be a statistic. Take action to determine your future.
I just have to tell you, I love Balance of Nature. I've been telling everybody about it. I can't believe how good I feel. Got my husband taking them now, and he's trying to get his mom to take them, because rarely do I take something where I feel a difference. If I'm just taking vitamin D or my multivitamin, I don't really feel a difference. But when I started taking these, I feel a difference. And I said, I can't tell you how good I feel.
Begin giving your body the fruits and vegetables it needs every day. Accept and complete Dr. Howard's 120-day health challenge to earn a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so both Egyptian and Russian officials are saying that it was essentially more likely than not that the Egypt Air flight that was that crashed into the Mediterranean last night en route from Paris to Cairo was the result of a terrorist attack. For more on this, we're now joined by aviation expert and the publisher of the website Jetwine, WHINE, jetwine.com, our friend Robert Mark. Robert, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, you're most welcome. Sorry it's under such lousy circumstances.
Yeah, what's your, based on what we know at this point, and of course the information is kind of being gathered in real time, what do you agree with what you've heard from certain Egyptian and Russian officials?
Well, of course, we're still gathering facts. It's early in the investigation, but there are some things that really jump out at me. When the airplane was still talking to Greek air traffic controllers before it was being switched to the Egyptians, they failed to answer the last radio call. So they were really out of touch before they got into Egyptian airspace, and that's not good, especially when things were going along just fine until that point. And then the airplane is reported to have made some kind of wild turns before it started down.
Yeah, what does that mean? They said it went 90 degrees right, then 360 degrees left, and then disappeared off the radar. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's certainly not normal. I mean, you couldn't even fiddle with the autopilot to get it to do that quickly. That kind of indicates to me that perhaps the crew was wrestling with some body in the cockpit or with some unbelievable problem that had caused the airplane to already start to go out of control, at which they had no time to even radio down to the ground to tell them what was going on.
So it could have been like is it possible it could have been a United 93 situation, or it could have been, an explosion on the plane?
Sure. I think, we're already rapidly running out of possibilities here. I mean, and if it were, or if it was an explosive device, anybody that had any common sense as a bad guy would have probably put it in the tail. And if that's where the explosion did occur, it would have completely screwed up all the controls in the airplane, and the crew might not have had any opportunity to do anything.
Right now, the Egyptian Air Force and officials are focusing on an area 175 miles off the coast of Cairo. Obviously, a search or a rescue mission right now, or just a recovery mission?
This is a recovery mission. I mean, it's a sad thought, but I mean, at this point in time, we know the airplane went down. It's just a matter of where. But of course, what's going to make this more difficult is the fact that it was making all these gyrations, and they're going to be looking along that direct line from where they last saw it headed towards Cairo. But it, at lower altitude, could have turned 90 degrees one way or another and been another 30 or 40 miles away from where they think. I mean, we have to be realistic that after the Air France airplane went in back in 2007, it took us a week to find any of the debris, and they thought they had a pretty good idea of where it was.
All right, he's Robert Mark, the publisher of Jet Wine, JETWHINE, jetwine.com. Robert, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
You're most welcome.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. And now, a moment of objectivism with Yaron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
In the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, Americans searched for answers and reached for Ayn Rand's most famous novel, Atlas Shrugged. The 1957 novel sold an incredible 2 million copies since the crisis hit. Atlas Shrugged grapples with the fundamental questions of human existence, presenting radical new answers. Is the pursuit of profit a noble enterprise or the root of all evil? Is self-esteem possible, or are we consigned to a life of self-doubt and guilt? In what kind of a society can an individual prosper? And in what kind of a society is he doomed to the opposite fate? Ayn Rand's thought-provoking answers and intriguing characters will have you turning the pages for more. Pick up a copy of Atlas Shrugged today and visit ARIradio.com to learn more about the ideas in Ayn Rand's masterwork. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Yaron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brook Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ARIradio.com.
Mark your calendar, Chicago, for Tuesday, June 7th at the Langham Hotel for the 5th Annual Atlas Shrugged Revolution Dinner. This event has everything: a worthy cause, engaging speakers including AM 560's Joe Walsh, a beautiful venue, and fantastic food. Plus, it's your chance to target your support of the Ayn Rand Institute for students in the Chicagoland area. Complete details are online at aynrand.org/Chicago. That's aynrand.org/Chicago.
We're so excited about our sold-out golf outing at the Bolingbrook Golf Club coming up on Thursday, June 16th to benefit Operation Support Our Troops America.
If you weren't able to get in this year, don't worry. You can still reserve a tee time at the Bolingbrook Golf Club anytime this spring or summer by visiting BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
And thanks to the sponsors who are making our golf outing possible.
Remax Professionals, Charity Golf International, Dr. Amy and Associates, MJ Miller and Company Jewelers in Barrington, Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, and Pearl Mortgage. CertaPro painters are here for every stage of your life, from moving into a new home, creating the ideal nursery, to reinventing your living space. CertaPro painting experts create the perfect setting while you do life. They came to our home and brightened our walls and our moods so very quiet they wouldn't wake a baby. But the best part? They clean up after themselves so you don't have to do it. And now that spring is here, it is the perfect time to spruce up your home's exterior. Take a look at your home. Do you see chipping, peeling, fading? Well, leave it to CertaPro painting experts to refresh, renew, and protect your biggest investment, your home. Now is the time to call for your free estimate and schedule your exterior painting project. 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA. That's CERTA with a C. Or visit CertaPro.com today. CertaPro.com. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Who started the fight over bathroom policy? We'll ask David French from National Review at 8:08.
And later, if you want to help out a great charity, Pets for Vets, we'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, Fox with the very latest on developments on the Egypt Air flight that crashed into the Mediterranean Sea earlier this morning. Mayor Emanuel proposes a transgender bathroom ordinance. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Dave Anthony. Debris spotted at sea in the search for the Egypt airplane that crashed into the Mediterranean. No confirmation yet, though, that it's from that jet that was flying from Cairo to Paris. It made abrupt turns and then dropped off radar.
At 2:48 in the morning, the Greek airspace controllers contacted the pilot, who, quote, said he was in good spirits and thanked the controller. 39 minutes later, they tried to reach him again, and he was non-responsive. They could not get hold of the plane. And 12 minutes after that, the swerves happened and the plane went down.
Fox's Benjamin Hall. No one knows why this happened yet. Fox's Jessica Gallagher live in our Middle East Bureau.
Dave, Egyptian Civil Aviation Defense Minister Sharif Fathi stressing nothing can be ruled out in reference to the missing plane.
There's no theory that is excluded,
including terrorism. This is Greek Defense Minister Panos Kamenos says Egypt Air Flight 804 made sudden swerves and turns and then lost altitude. Kamenos adding the flight turned 90 degrees left and then made a 360-degree right turn, dropping from 38,000 feet to 15,000 feet, and then contact was lost at 10,000 feet. There were 66 passengers on board, mostly Egyptians and French nationals, no Americans, Dave.
Jessica, police shootout has left an Arizona officer in grave shape. Extremely critical condition as cops responded to a burglary call.
We had as many as 6 officers that were involved in this particular gunfire exchange.
Phoenix Police Sergeant Trent Crump says the suspect was killed. A new Fox presidential poll gives Donald Trump a small 3-point lead over Hillary Clinton, but it's not a matchup Americans like. 61% of those surveyed have an unfavorable opinion of Clinton. 56% look negatively at Trump. This as Trump releases a list of 11 judges that he would consider to fill the vacancy on the Supreme Court. Conservatives like them, but liberals, including pro-choice advocates, do not. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Sunshine in Chicago, 53 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A group of city officials wants to get rid of the TSA at O'Hare and Midway. 4 aldermen, including Ed Burke, are introducing a resolution calling for privatized passenger screenings again at O'Hare and Midway.
It's working in San Francisco, isn't it? And it's working in 20 other airports around the country. What we do know is it's not working here with TSA.
Mayor Emanuel is scheduled to meet with the director of the TSA tomorrow. A Schaumburg woman given 4 years in prison for killing her disabled daughter, Bonnie Liltz, was sentenced yesterday after pleading guilty to involuntary manslaughter. Authorities say a father and 2 children were killed instantly when their pickup truck and an Amtrak train collided in a small Mississippi town. The Chicago-bound train, the city of New Orleans, slammed into the vehicle around 6:11 yesterday in the town of Flora, about 25 miles northwest of Jackson, Mississippi. And a judge in southern Illinois is setting an August 15 trial date in a workplace retaliation lawsuit filed against U.S. Senate candidate Tammy Duckworth. The Democratic Congresswoman is challenging Republican U.S. Senator Mark Kirk in one of November's most competitive Senate races across the country. Kirk's campaign has highlighted that case in TV ads, accusing Duckworth of mistreating veterans and trying to silence whistleblowers. Cubs over Milwaukee 2-1. Houston beat the White Sox 5-3. The news service of Blue Cash Preferred Card from American Express. The Blue Cash Preferred Card from American Express, 6% cash back at U.S. supermarkets on up to $6,000 in purchases. That means 6% cash back on those cheeses you can't pronounce but eat anyway. Start earning cash back at AmexBlueCash.com. Terms apply. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Turnkey.pro. And from the And let's get the latest now this morning from the Fox Business Network.
From the Fox Business Network, more people were shopping at Walmart in recent months. While Macy's, Kohl's, Target, and other chains saw sales decline, Walmart's sales were higher and earnings were better than expected. Its grocery business helped bring people into Walmart stores. Walmart makes more than half its money from grocery products. Walmart shares are sharply higher before the Wall Street open. Cisco Systems reported a weaker profit, but the company's offering a rosy outlook. Cisco is a network equipment maker, but it's expanding into security systems. Though Monsanto is being offered a takeover from Germany's Bayer, it's unclear whether the deal would pass regulators. The two companies are the world's largest suppliers of crop seeds and pesticides. And Tesla is getting ready to sell more stock to raise money for its launch of the Model 3, more affordable electric car. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
It's 8:05 in Chicago. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Personal finance is 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge.
Dave Ramsey.
The reason you're in debt is behavior, not math. The way you get out of debt is behavior, change, not math. You can't borrow your way out of debt. How many times have you heard someone say, I had a whole bunch of credit card debt and I paid it off by getting a second mortgage? You didn't pay it off, you moved it.
The Dave Ramsey Show, weeknights starting at 7, right before Michael Medved at 10. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
Mike Rowe here for 1 hour. Today, Chuck is jogging in place to make a point about energy efficiency.
I thought I was training for a marathon.
He's been at it now for...
3 minutes.
And already he's wearing out.
I'm not.
Your heating and air conditioning systems are a lot like Chuck.
Warm yet somehow cool.
Wheezing, wasting energy, and probably headed for replacement.
You're talking about the air systems, right?
Sure, pal. Sure. Call 1 hour before it's too late.
Can you do the disclaimer for me?
Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
Thanks.
Here's some great news. Jack Tabota of Tabota & Associates can help you with your retirement game plan. You know Jack, or you should. Jack is the president and founder of Tabota & Associates. He's been helping folks just like you retire successfully for 3 decades. Jack has the insight, information, strategies, and experience you can use to build wealth and keep it. Live good. Retire well with Jack Tabota of Tabota & Associates. 630-777-7955. 630-777-7955.
It's the Ready to Ride sales event and time to gear up for your ultimate off-road adventure. Experience the unmatched performance of a Can-Am Maverick XDS or the affordable Outlander L starting at $63.99. Hurry in by May 31st and save up to $2,000 on select 2015 models, plus get great financing. Get ready to ride because the fun starts now.
Visit our equipment in Sycamore.
Subject to credit approval. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. For safety and training info, contact the ATV Safety Institute.
Thousands of people are choosing to drive with Uber. That's where the riders are. So drivers have less downtime, are busier making more trips, earning more money.
I choose to drive with Uber because of the money and flexibility. I'm my own boss. I get to do what I want, when I want, and still earn extra money. Driving with Uber is the smartest thing I've done.
Earn the extra money you need. Just an hour or 2 a day and the money adds up fast when you drive with Uber. Get started today. Take 2 minutes and sign up right now. Go to drivewithuber.com. Drivewithuber.com.
8:07 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the latest on the morning roads with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. 394 has delays northbound Glenwood Dyer to before Thornton Lansing due to a crash. The Edens is 28 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 35. The Kennedy jammed Harlem to the Burn Circle, an hour and 15 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound it's an hour. The Eisenhower, an hour and 25 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, an hour 10 from Manheim. Outbound an hour 10 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 15 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. Ryan is 35 minutes. 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound slow Washington to 176. Northbound 115th to LaGrange Road. From the Stevenson to 47th. Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Adams Tollway delays. 59 most of the way to 53. Westbound heavy approaching 59 with road work in the right lane. Veterans Memorial jammed Archer to Maple, Butterfield to St. Charles, and from the Army Trail toll to Lake Street. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, mostly sunny, high of 68. A moonlit sky for tonight with a low 46. Then tomorrow, partial sunshine with a high of 69. And a partly cloudy night tomorrow night with a low of 48. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
Currently 52 at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Illinois Rising, hosted by Dan Proft and the Illinois Policy Institute. Sunday afternoons at 3 on AM 560 The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
What about what Clinton's done? In one case, it's about exposure. In another case, it's about groping and fondling and touching against a woman's will. And rape. And rape.
The chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, I mean, it's been pretty clear, Steve, almost from the get-go, that she has been working against Bernie Sanders. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
The fact is, with both New York looking at this, Atlanta looking at it, now Chicago, it's a wake-up call to TSA.
I could see that the Democrats were going to pass another out-of-balance budget. So every year they've been passing a budget that's either $4 or $5 billion deficit with no money to pay for it.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, Amy, a lot of news this week about Donald Trump for that New York Times hit piece on how he has treated women, and then many of the women saying the New York Times mischaracterized the comments they offered those reporters. You had Hillary Clinton surrogate, former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell, big union jamoke he is, say that Donald Trump's comments are probably going to come back to haunt him.
Why?
Comments about women come back to haunt him because, according to Rendell, there are probably more ugly women in America than attractive women.
Wow. Okay. Hello.
In a related
that comment might come back to haunt him.
And Hillary. In a related story, Donald Trump leading Hillary in the polls, and you wonder why as we engage in this race to the bottom between the two candidates. But there you go. There's your leftist union feminist Ed Rendell. Ladies and gentlemen, and to the extent we can even distinguish between ladies and gentlemen anymore, who started the fight over bathroom policy that led to Obama's missive in terms of how public pre-K through post-secondary educational institutions must accommodate people in terms of retiring to use the facilities? Well, Josh Earnest responded to that inquiry saying this.
The first is this is a confrontation that Republicans have sought out, rather cynically, because they are seeking a political advantage.
Republicans brought this up.
Oh, did we write the edict that President Obama released and sent to all public schools and public universities? Did we write that, Dan? Yes or no?
No, but it was North Carolina, the legislative action in North Carolina that brought this to the fore. Now, in 2012, he had an entire election campaign, thanks to Mitt Romney's fecklessness as a candidate, about contraception. And the question is this something that's being fomented by conservatives or something being fomented by the left as the contraception issue of 2016? Bill McGurn of Wall Street Journal opined this week that it is the latter. Let's get our friend David French's view. David French, writer, contributor to National Review Online, and he joins us now. David, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
So what about Josh Earnest's comments that this is an issue that's been ginned up by the right and, President Obama is just responding to this preemptive strike by conservatives?
It's factually absurd. I mean, this is much more akin, as I think you accurately pointed out, to the fake contraception controversy in 2012. Where nobody was talking about taking contraceptives away from anybody, and then somehow it transformed into an entire presidential campaign built around protecting the right to access contraception. This was a situation where the Obama administration, on its own, without any act of Congress, decided that it was going to expand Title IX, which is a statute that protects people from sex discrimination in publicly funded schools. That means pretty much every K through 12 public school in the U.S. and all but a few universities in the U.S. That he was going to expand the statute to also protect against discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity, including transgender identity, without an act of Congress, and without even a regulatory rulemaking process. So the Obama administration just decided completely on its own that it would do this. And then as it did it heard complaints from transgender students who, for example, there was a case in Illinois who were not satisfied with the fact that a school had set them up with a separate bathroom facility that was private and instead wanted to be in the same facilities with girls, showers, locker rooms, bathrooms. And the Obama administration came down on these schools like a ton of bricks. So the idea that this was exploited for political gain by Republicans, just made up, is simply factually incorrect. What happened is the Obama administration unilaterally and unlawfully changed the meaning of a statute and then began enforcing it around the country.
But don't you think that he did that to make Republicans look bad, especially during an election year, to make Republicans look racist or sexist?
Oh, it's absolutely about generating enthusiasm and passion in the progressive base. I mean, this is issue, and I think that was a great analogy to the contraception issue. This is one, it continues. So after the gay marriage issue, what's the next big quote civil rights issue? Well, the next big issue is this the notion of transgender identity that has become so celebrated ever since the Bruce Jenner transition. Mm-hmm. And so we actually had the specter of the head of the Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Department of Justice coming out and saying it is, quote, a fact that transgender men are men, that transgender women are women, which is far from a fact. I mean, literally under the reasoning of the Obama administration, it is now possible for a man to get pregnant, for a man to have a menstrual cycle, a woman to have male sexual organs. I mean, this is absurd. It's not a fact. It's absurd.
But it seems to me, though, the difference between the contraception issue that I raised from 2012 and today is, a majority of Americans believe people should have access to contraception. Even if they don't believe they should pay for it. But I don't know that a majority of Americans are on board for all of this. And the question becomes, will Republicans make the same mistake and run screaming to the hills so they don't have to avoid this issue the way they did the contraception issue and the demagoguery of the left?
Well, let me say this. I think there's a difference between Republicans in Washington, D.C. and Republicans in the states. Yeah. So many Republicans in the states are standing strong. I mean, there's litigation right now. North Carolina has filed suit against the federal government. The Department of Justice gave them a deadline to basically say they weren't going to enforce their law, and North Carolina answered their deadline by suing the government, which obviously made the Department of Justice very angry. So North Carolina's standing strong. Texas, I believe the total is now 13 states to say they're going to challenge or join in challenges to this edict. So there's quite a few state governments who are holding firm on this, but the relative silence from Washington Republicans is deafening. And you would think that Congress would be, at the very least, willing to protect its own power, because the Obama administration, as I said earlier, completely circumvented Congress to write and seek to enforce this edict, just completely circumvented Congress. So at the very least, you would think Congress would say, wait a minute, if you're going to try to change the law, you've got to come through us first. But it's been sad to see the relative silence in Congress. And now the issue isn't over. Congress could still take action. But as of right now, they seem to be sitting this one out.
And David, I think you should know the case that you're referring to in Illinois. Not only did he, who wanted to become a she, want to use the girls' locker rooms, he also joined the girls' gymnastics team. So the Obama administration is going to have to deal with that next, that the transgender who want to join how they're feeling sports teams.
Right, and they actually dealt with that in their letter. And They basically said that in the edict that you can't keep somebody from participating in, say, in girls' sports if they're a guy, on the basis that there might be discomfort, although they did add what I would call sort of a backhanded football exception to this, and that was that you could deal with issues of competitive balance and safety, which is highly ambiguous. So what you're going to end up having is boys wanting to play on girls' athletic teams, and then putting the school in the difficult position of having to let them play unless they can articulate a very clear safety concern as a result.
I'll just come.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, and you hear this from some with a center-right perspective. Why are we talking about this? This is all ancillary. Why should we care? We have another Egypt airplane that looks like it was blown out of the sky by terrorists. We've got all these economic problems. Why do we care about this bathroom issue, David? We shouldn't be paying attention to this.
Well, my answer to that is twofold. Number one, do we care about constitutional separation of powers? Number two, do we care about the rule of law? Number three, do we care about local control of public schools? I mean, those things, even if you're not particularly fired up about the underlying transgender issue, the separation of powers, the rule of law, they still matter. And then number two, people can walk and chew gum at the same time. I can be concerned about terrorism at the same time that I can be concerned about a lawless Obama administration trying to take over local schools for the sake of its hard left radical ideology. So, look, I mean, every time somebody says that, what they really mean to say is not that this is unimportant, but this is a fight I just don't want to fight.
Right.
And rather than articulating why it's not worth fighting, they just say, well, let's not pay attention to this. Well, look, we can pay attention to multiple things at once, and this is one of those things.
He is David French, National Review Online. You can check out his writings, always provocative and thoughtful. David, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Help is on the way to shorten those long lines at Chicago's airports. We'll tell you the plan. But first, here's your forecast. Sunshine today. Beautiful out there. 68 degrees for a high. And tomorrow, partly sunny. The warm weather continues. It'll be even warmer, a high of 70 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Well, we have plenty of long lines on Chicago's Expressway and no solutions inside. The Kennedy is an hour and 10 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 40 minutes from Montrose, 35 on the Express. Outbound, 45 minutes downtown to the airport. The Edens is 28 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 35. The Eisenhower, an hour and 15 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound an hour 10. Stevenson, an hour and 15 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound, slow Washington to 176. Northbound from 115th to LaGrange Road, from the Stevenson to 47th, and Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Adams Tollway slow most of the way from 59 to 53. Reagan Tollway from 31 to Eola, and Myers most of the way to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial jammed 127th most of the way to St. Charles, and from the Army Trail toll to 290. And Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
There's no better way to promote your business than real people, actual living, breathing bodies, human billboards you might call them, promoting your company, organization, or athletic team. And we're not talking about the old sign hanging around their neck trick. We're talking about T-shirts, hats, and jackets that everyone will see on the street, at sporting events, in the grocery store, everywhere. The impact can be powerful, but to do it right, you need to work with someone who can handle all the specifics and deliver high quality. That's Sam Gilberto, president of American Embroidery and Screen Printing, a proud local conservative company that will help you find and envision the perfect item for your message or logo. They can screen print or embroider just about anything. And right now, until the end of the month, get big savings. American Embroidery and Screen Printing will do professional artwork and setup for your project for free. Call and talk to Sam at American Embroidery and Screen Printing. Call 630-766-2825. Again, that number, 630-766-2825.
Did you know that if you have mutual funds in your IRA, 401k, or investment accounts, that according to Forbes magazine, you could be paying as much as 3.17% in hidden fees every single year? 3.17% may not sound like much, But over 10 years, it's costing you 32%, whether your fund is up or down. Hi, it's Tom Fortino of the Alpha Wealth Group in Chicago and host of the Alpha Wealth Hour on AM 560. This is just one of the reasons I hate mutual funds, and you should too. You may not know this, but you have far more investment options today without the excessive fees. Learn what they are in my free report, The Truth Behind Mutual Funds. What you learn may shock you. To get your free report, The Truth Behind Mutual Funds, call 630-519-4742. There's no obligation. That's 630-519-4742.
Investment advisory services. Offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, Inc. Now that spring has arrived, it's likely you're looking forward to the warmer weather. But if you're a business owner, facilities manager, or maintenance engineer, you risk the same potential problem every year. A complete system failure. In fact, up to half of all commercial air conditioning units fail upon startup each season due to the lack of regular maintenance and repair. Let the professionals at Air Comfort make a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system before there's a problem. A poorly operating air conditioning system results in uneven temperatures and humidity problems, leading to unhealthy mold and mildew growth. Don't compromise your business's overall air quality. Schedule today with Air Comfort. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Even if you're under contract with another provider, let Air Comfort provide your second opinion. After all, there's a reason why hundreds of businesses have trusted Air Comfort with their mechanical maintenance for more than 80 years. That's Air Comfort, a tradition of excellence since 1935.
Let not your heart be troubled. Listen to me, Sean Hannity. I'll have the latest news and what it all means for you. It's coming up at 2 right here on AM 560, The Answer.
So did you hear the latest? TSA is telling Chicago passengers to get to the airport 3 hours ahead of time.
Yeah.
And some flights are only 45 minutes.
Also, related story, Dick Durbin has called on Egypt Air to suspend their baggage fees.
Stop.
In response to the apparent terrorist attack.
Okay, well, on a serious note, Dan, funny guy, shock jock over there.
Right.
Dick Durbin is asking, and so is Mayor Emanuel, your favorite little tiny dancer. They want airlines to, yes, waive those baggage fees because, of course, when a failed government agency isn't working, they have to blame somebody else. So let's blame the airlines. But guess what?
It's a great opportunity to appropriate other people's property, which is what they really like to do.
Oh, that's right. But the airlines, they're not going to budge because they make $4 billion with a B dollars a year on baggage fees. And they've already, the TSA director has asked them, please waive them just for the summer months, just for a few months, give us a break. And they have strongly said no. But now Ed Burke and 4 other aldermen want to privatize security at O'Hare Airport because you know what? Why not? 21 other cities are doing it.
The fact is, with both New York looking at this, Atlanta looking at it, now Chicago, it's a wake-up call to TSA.
It's working in San Francisco, isn't it? And it's working in 20 other airports around the country. What we do know is it's not working here with TSA.
In a related story, an announcement has been made for the grand opening of Alderman Ed Burke's Airport Screeners Are Us business. So I don't know if I think the two are related.
Yeah, that's the first. When I was here watching and reading this story, I thought Ed Burke has a cousin who owns a security screening business, and that's who they're going to use to replace the TSA.
Well, there is no shortage, as you know, of idiot cousins of Chicago Dem politicians that could be put to good use.
I mean,
as
put the
screeners
bathrooms,
or as, just kind of cutouts for contracts at our public facilities.
The wrought iron gates at O'Hare Airport.
The old GF
Friends.
structures. Yeah, sure.
The toilet seat covers.
The highlights.
Every time I sit on that toilet seat at the O'Hare Airport, I always think, God, Daley's cousin designed this. Must be nice to have people in powerful positions. Is that too much?
So you probably could have just said, I sometimes think about that without the picture of where you're doing your thinking.
Okay. Well,
you know what I mean?
Jay Johnson, Homeland Security Chief, Secretary.
Spells his name wrong.
Yeah, who spells his name wrong? Yeah, he's begging the airlines for help.
We've asked the airlines to consider possibly eliminating the checked baggage fee to encourage people to check their luggage rather than put it in the carry-on.
Yeah, and you know what's going to make it all better? The TSA head is coming here on Friday to meet with Mayor Emanuel and Ed Burke and others.
Off with his head. John in Rockford, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, actually, it's Alan from Rockford.
Oh, Alan from Rockford. You're also on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Guys, yes. Don't the airlines share in the burden of the cost of TSA?
Yeah, passenger facility charges and the like.
Okay, so when Amy says that it costs them, they make $4 billion a year, like it's some kind of profit center for them.
It is a big profit.
I don't think that number's accurate.
It's according to
Thanks for the call,
to ABC
John
and
/
CNBC.
Alan.
They both said the same thing. $4 billion a year. All the airlines combined, they make that off the baggage fees.
Yeah, well, okay, so that's part of their business model.
Yeah.
Except now, because TSA has failed, that can no longer be part of their business model because, as you suggested, a big government failure is a private sector responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
That's the lesson when you hear, and what you should remember when you hear predators like Ed Burke and Dick Durbin and Tiny Dancer speaking.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
It's frustrating when you hand out a business card and don't hear back. When you download the free Bobble app from your app store, the next time someone asks, "Do you have a card?" you can reply, "Do you have a phone?" In just an instant, they'll have an interactive card that, with a touch, connects them to your phone, your website, everything. Imagine free business cards for life that won't get lost or tossed. I'm Scott Cook, excited to introduce to you Bobble, the revolutionary new app that allows you to create a card and send your contact information directly into a prospect's phone without having to enter a single digit. Then, while you're busy running your business, Bobble connects you to new customers. Download the free Bobble app from your Apple or Android app store. When you upgrade to Pro, you'll receive the first 30 days of in-network advertising free. To learn more, visit bobblecard.com. That's BOBL card.com. Bobble Card. The future of business card sharing is Bobble.
AM 560. The Answer.
So, Amy, a friend of mine's flying out of Midway today, and he just texted me a picture. Midway's a ghost town, no line at all. So, done a
Really?
good job of scaring everybody away from flying.
Yeah, why would you bother?
Those baggage fees are going to go up now.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, one pet, one vet. He sacrificed his life for our freedoms, and he's trying to pay it forward. We'll explain. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 53 degrees, and the latest this morning on the catastrophic event that has claimed 66 lives in the crash of an Egypt Air flight. The disappearance en route from Paris to Cairo continues to be investigation. A debris field may have been found by Greek authorities. Retired Navy Admiral James Stavridis tells Fox that while terrorism has not been ruled out at this point, a missile strike is one thing he does not think could have happened.
The technical means to get a missile up to that altitude is present on some military warships, but the idea that a military warship would be co-opted and then launch a missile to take down a commercial airliner, highly unlikely.
Greece's defense ministry says data shows Flight 804 made abrupt turns, swerving 90 degrees right, then 360 degrees left as it dropped from 37,000 feet. France's lower house of parliament has just approved a 2-month extension of the state of emergency declared after the deadly November 13 attacks in Paris. Today's vote had been scheduled for weeks, but happened the same day as that Egypt Air flight that left Paris crashed into the Mediterranean Sea. The National Rifle Association's annual meeting and trade show starts today in Louisville. Donald Trump will speak at that event tomorrow. Hockey fans and history buffs can own a piece of the legendary 1980 Miracle on Ice Olympic hockey team. Team USA goalie Jim Craig is auctioning off his collection of items, including his gold medal and jersey he wore, defeating the Soviet Union. Here in Chicago, a group of city officials wants to get rid of the TSA, tossing them from the two city airports, O'Hare and Midway, and privatizing passenger screening. Cubs beat Milwaukee 2-1. Houston over the White Sox 5-3. The news a service of Amtrak. Once-in-a-lifetime journeys depart daily. See where the train can take you. Travel through history on Amtrak and get 20% off with saver fares on the train. Take scenic photographs from panoramic windows with views that are expansive and seats that are, too. Find saver fares at Amtrak.com. Amtrak, see where the train can take you. Restrictions apply. 8:33. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says people need to eat their crow and move on.
Don't underestimate the hurt feelings. People have painted themselves into a corner. They've got egg on their face, and pride is a powerful emotion. There's a lot of prideful people now who have to say, okay, I was wrong. Didn't think he'd get the nomination. Didn't think people would get behind him. He's got the nomination. People are behind him.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Tea times, golf outings, driving range, golf academy, brunch, dinner, weddings, banquets, receptions. Find and do it all at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Info online at BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
You know, I've always been afraid we don't get enough, and that's why I feel so secure in taking Balance of Nature. But as long as I can get those fruits and vegetables, that's what, to me, is very important.
Well, you know, I heard all the advertisements on the radios where I first heard about this, and of course, I thought, well, you know, I need to order that because I don't get my fruits and vegetables like I should. I eat some, but not all. So I started taking the product, and I've taken it religiously now for, I guess, 3 months, going on 3 months now, and I told my wife I can definitely tell a difference. So it's a good product.
Make the change today. No more synthetics, no more extracts. Today is your chance to get it right. Accept and complete Dr. Howard's 120-day health challenge to earn a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. Joyce called to lower her rate and pay her loan off in 27 years. I helped Joyce secure a 27-year fixed loan, saved her $45 a month, and paid all her closing costs. $45 a month might not sound like a lot, but Joyce will apply the savings to her new mortgage payment to pay her loan off in 25 years and save her over $20,000 in mortgage payments. I lowered Joyce's rate, payment, and saved her over $20,000 in mortgage payments. If you want to see if I can help you like I helped Joyce, give me a call at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. I've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License T4358, RMLA, NMLS 19186.
It is 8:36 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Kennedy has delays from Sayre to the Burns Circle. 1 hour. O'Hare to downtown. 35 minutes from Montrose. 30 in the Express. Outbound 45 minutes downtown to the airport. Edens, 28 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 35. The Eisenhower, an hour and 15 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound a full hour. Stevenson, an hour and 15 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, we're looking at a travel time to 355 of 40 minutes. The Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to the Loop, Lakeshore Drive. Southbound still Wilson to Fullerton, and approaching the Stevenson, northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Tri-State southbound still Washington to 176, and from the Adams Tollway to Irving Park, northbound 115th to LaGrange Road, from the Stevenson to 47th, and Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve, eastbound Adams Tollway, bottled up Barrington Road to 53. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Sunny and 68 today. Clear skies, moonlit sky, 46 overnight. Currently 50 degrees at O'Hare. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group, hosted by Craig Bolanos. Heard Sunday mornings at 10.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Joe Traynor Jr. served in the 3rd Ranger Battalion of the 75th Ranger Regiment with 2 tours in Afghanistan. Participated in the initial airborne assault into Afghanistan on Objective Rhino in 2001. He was just 19 years old at the time. When Joe returned from combat, he experienced transitional issues like so many veterans have. Of course, we've discussed on this show. Mm-hmm. And a dog saved Joe's life. and now he's decided to kind of pay it forward and to make his life's mission to help reduce the number of veteran suicides by founding an organization called One Pet, the number One Pet, One Vet, One Pet, One Vet. And he's got a concert event, fundraiser coming up tomorrow night, Friday, that will go from 7 to 11 p.m. at Joe's Bar on Weed Street. Tickets are available at the number One Pet, the number One Vet, One Pet, One Vet, freedomconcert.eventbrite.com. $35 at the door to support the work that Joe is doing. And we're pleased to have Joe Trainer in studio with us, along with his dog, CT.
Absolutely. And we can't thank you all enough for having us on the show.
Well, tell us your story. You say a dog saved your life. Explain.
Yes, I had started a dog training company in 2012 and didn't really understand, how dogs placated in my life as far as being a combat veteran. And being able to have that release or that therapy to be able to have that unconditional love, but most importantly, that counselor that I can't talk to, due to my special operations background in nature, along with my other brothers, you can't go to the VA and talk to anybody.
Right, because it's top secret information.
Absolutely.
And you're not Hillary Clinton, so you can't
right. And you
send
can't
out
email
classified
about
information
it.
everywhere. Yeah.
So how did your dog save your life?
I had contemplated suicide for the very first time in my life. And as I was doing so, I had a pug jump into my lap and look at me every which way but in my eyes, and then jump off my lap. And we had started a concept earlier called 14DD, which was 14 dogs that were destined to be euthanized and trained for 14 days. As soon as that pug jumped off of my lap, I said, wow, whatever just happened, I need to make sure that every single veteran got to feel that unconditional love at such a point of vulnerability, and added 14 veterans that would be the recipients of those dogs.
But you're taking dogs that are destined, they're on the list to be euthanized.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what's so amazing about this.
Absolutely. And that's really the bond. Not only do we have that bond between brother and sister in the armed forces, but it's the same bond that we have with our canine community. A lot of people don't realize that we use canines on the front lines of the war currently, even today. So we look at it as they're able to live their American dream, the one in which their canine companions fought so hard for. So we take that same pride in rescuing them, retraining them, and rehoming them.
Well, so that issue of canines and their handlers in theaters of battle, and there was stories within the last couple of months about the handlers, or military men and women, who use dogs in war, and they want to adopt the dogs when they come back home, and the military is not allowing them to do so. Why is that?
Well, it's a very fine line, and a lot of common sense comes into play. The dogs that go overseas, the war dogs, as a lot of people call them, they're trained to complete one mission and one mission only, and that is to eliminate the enemy. So when you bring that dog back to the United States, if it's not with its handler, their PTS is different than our veterans' PTS, if you will. So being able to turn it off and turn it on, if they do not come back with the handler, and in my mind, it is an extremely bad idea because it's bad to the American public.
But if a handler wanted to adopt the dog, there's no sense in not allowing that to happen,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. Now, once again, because that's the training, that's the bond, that's the cohesiveness with that dog, they have that camaraderie, and they're able to, go out and run and gun together.
I assume it's like a police officer, a human police officer, and the canine officer in that relationship.
Oh, absolutely. And, if not a little bit more, because, when we look at service animals as a form of medication for our veterans, even more that bond is, once again, it's like your ranger buddy or your battle buddy that's right there on the battlefield with you. So there's a lot more that goes with it.
How many people have been saved by One Pet, One Vet? How many people that you personally know over that you've helped given a dog to say, hey, look, we can help you. Just try this.
Yeah, and each and every day when I get asked that question, I'm pleased to announce. Last year we did 15 service dogs for our One Pet, One Vet certified working dog team program, and we've done a total of 32. Yes, and then obviously we do. Not everybody needs what they quote unquote have a service animal, so we do adoptions as far as just canine companions, and that's really what it boils down to. Is whenever I had my moment, of wanting to, contemplating taking my own life, I had looked to my left and right, and there was nobody there. And when we're overseas, that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for the American way, but that's not in our mind. To our buddies who are to our left and right, that's all that's on our mind.
Tell us about the Oasis that One Pet, One Vet operates.
The Oasis is our 88-acre veteran retreat center that acts as our training grounds for our One Pet, One Vet certified working dog team program. We have a boathouse that replicates public access testing. So on Saturdays during our training, we have our family readiness group that comes down with the veterans when they're training. They act like they're waitresses or waiters, drop food on the ground. So you have all types of different interactions. We have a private movie theater as well, canoeing, kayaking, every single tool that's out there for our veterans. The more tools we're able to provide for our veterans to have in their toolbox, the better their success.
Now, it's an honor to have you in the studio, but tell us about your dog, CT, and how you acquired him.
Big old CT.
So cute. What is he?
Let CT answer that question.
CT, can you come here, please?
CT stands for Crunch Time. He was
Oh.
next in line to be euthanized at Chicago Animal Care and Control whenever we had rescued him at 5 weeks. But we really wanted to see what our our Puppy for Veteran program would do as far as being able to recognize our veterans' transitional medical conditions at an earlier age, much like a father and a child, mother and a child. And that's what you have right here.
And CT, what kind of dog is CT?
He is a Pit Bull American Bulldog mix.
Oh,
yeah.
That's, so you don't want to mess with CT. You don't want to see CT in a dark alley.
Well, CT is once again a service animal, which is my medication. Yeah. So he is highly trained on what I need him for, what tasks he performs for me. Everything from separation to forward liaison, as we call it, meaning he goes and scouts the room out, and that's what a service animal is.
And how long have you been connected to CT? How long has he been your dog?
He's ever since we rescued him. He's 2 years and 2 months now.
Wow.
So
now, besides being in the armed forces, and thank you so much for your service, your father was director of the Secret Service for 28 years with Ronald Reagan.
Absolutely.
And tell us what happened that day that he was shot. He flipped a coin with...
He flipped a coin with Mr. McCarthy, and it's one of the unbelievable events of the foundation in which our family was raised on, and growing up in D.C., but let alone being with the Reagans and having my father be there. And
he flipped a coin with Tim McCarthy, the Orland Park police chief, who was the Secret Service agent shot during the Reagan assassination attempt.
Yes, and once again, I was 5 years old or 4 years old. So
do you remember any of that?
No.
But you later went on to, you've been in the Oval Office and you've met Ronald Reagan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the Reagans always, are near and dear to my father's, heart and the family. So
when you were going through your struggles, kind of reacclimating after your service, did you turn to your father at all? Did you lean on him? Because he's obviously kind of been in the line of fire, the proverbial line of fire, in a different way. But
right. So when September 11th happened, we all know where we were at. At least the majority of us hopefully still remember where we were at.
Yeah.
I was on what's called Ranger Ready Force 1, along with the rest of my Ranger buddies, which means we were deployable around the world anywhere in 18 hours. So as basically we were getting ready to take the war abroad, my father is one of the directors of the entire country back here as a deputy director of the United States Secret Service when September 11th happened. So as the planes were striking the Pentagon and, all that was placating in the background, he was one of the, major orchestrators in keeping the country calm. So it was a very prestigious, family to have, the father on the forefront here at home and to have, once again, what, we did abroad.
So then after the September 9/11 attacks, then how soon were you deployed and where did you go? Can you talk about that?
Oh, absolutely. So when the planes had struck the second tower, we were actually getting briefed on what mission that we were going to be doing. And this is when the bases were wide open. There was no military posts, there was no gate guards or anything. And we found CNN because they were an hour and a half just north of us, right outside of our compound there in Fort Benning, Georgia. And we're like, ooh. Looks like media is going to play a little bit because everybody wanted to know what Special Operations is doing. How are they going to, react? So we said, well, now diversion tactics come into play. So we actually waited till October 3rd to leave, and then I jumped into Afghanistan in the Helmand province called Objective Rhino on October 19th of 2001.
And how long were you there?
I did my first tour till December, and then second tour went from June to October.
We're talking to Joe Trainer Jr. He is an Army Ranger, did 2 tours in Afghanistan, as he's describing. He also is the founder of One Pet, One Vet, which is a nonprofit that rescues dogs, puppies and older, destined to be euthanized, and trains them to be service dogs for veterans with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injuries. You've talked about the number of dogs you've connected with veterans and saved their lives like a dog saved your life, as you described. Event tomorrow to support Joe Trainer's work and the work of dealing with this just very disturbing issue of 22 veterans committing suicide each day. The event tomorrow night, 7 p.m., Joe's Bar on Weed Street, downtown Chicago, will go to 11 p.m., $35 at the door, and you can get tickets online at One Pet, the number one Pet, One Vet, Freedom Concert.eventbrite.com. Joe Trainer, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, and thank you for having us.
Too. Thank you.
Yes. Absolutely.
Thanks for bringing CT.
I mean, everybody, come on out, get your Freedom on Friday tomorrow. I mean, we have great guests. We have Kerry Woods stopping by, Blackhawks. We have great auction
and some
items.
members from Chicago Fire.
And the one and the
Chicago
only.
PD.
Joe Minoso is going to be hosting.
And will CT be there?
Oh.
Of course.
So everybody can
Joe
come take a
Minoso's
picture
going to
with
be
CT.
at the door taking cash.
CT's the star attraction, let me tell you. Joe Trainer, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with the organization and the event tomorrow night.
Thank you, America.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine today, a high of 68 degrees. Then tonight, a moonlit sky, lows in the 40s. And for your Friday, partly sunny skies, a little bit warmer, a high near 70. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. The inbound Kennedy is improving despite a report of a stalled school bus with nobody on it except the driver near the Hubbard Tunnel. Right now it's 50 minutes, so here to downtown, that's better than it was. 30 minutes from Montrose, but 33 in the express lanes are heavier. Outbound 45 minutes downtown to the airport. Eden's 25 minutes, Lake Cook to the junction, outbound 30. The Eisenhower's an hour and 15 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound still an hour. Stevenson an hour and 5 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to the Loop, Tri-State, southbound stop and go from the Adams Tollway to Irving Park after a crash. Northbound, 115th to LaGrange Road from the Stevenson to 47th and Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue Curve, Veterans Memorial. We see heavy traffic from around Boughton to the Reagan Tollway, Roosevelt to St. Charles, and Army Trail to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
We're so excited about our sold-out golf outing at the Bolingbrook Golf Club coming up on Thursday, June 16th to benefit Operation Support Our Troops America.
If you weren't able to get in this year, don't worry. You can still reserve a tee time at the Bolingbrook Golf Club anytime this spring or summer by visiting BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
And thanks to the sponsors who are making our golf outing possible.
Remax Professionals, Charity Golf International, Dr. Amy and Associates, MJ Miller and Company Jewelers in Barrington, Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, and Pearl Mortgage.
Hi, I'm Kathy Hamilton, former chairman of the College of DuPage. Thank you for supporting the Walk for Dyslexia and the Children's Dyslexia Center of Metropolitan Chicago. Our center is one of the best. I have dyslexia, and I know the importance of overcoming its challenges. If you didn't get a chance to make the walk, you can still help, and 100% of your money goes to helping kids. Contribute today at walkfordyslexia.org. That's walkfordyslexia.org. Thank you.
Hey, size matters. Look to the Italians. They made it happen. The Colosseum, the Vatican, the Tower of Pisa, and Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli Sandwiches. Yeah! Their signature subs are as big as your forearm, hefty and fully loaded with the highest quality deli meats on artisan bread. Their homemade Italian beef sandwiches are sliced paper thin, using their own family recipe. And if you can't choose between the burgers, wraps, or hand-rolled meatball sandwiches, then get them all. Feed your inner rock star. Eat amongst authentic rock and roll memorabilia while you enjoy the soundtrack of your glory days. Or pick up and go. Either way, Augie's offers fast, fresh, and affordable food, even gluten-free options. Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, Carroll Stream or West Chicago. Be sure to visit augustinos.com for full menus and directions. And if the party's on at your house, look to Augie's for catering. Don't make it happen with Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli.
I'm Dan Proft with an Upstream idea brought to you by the Illinois Opportunity Project. 27 Illinois state employees, on average, receive total compensation 27% higher than their private sector counterparts. State employees made nearly $4,000 more in wages and $13,000 in benefits than private sector employees. More than half of state workers will retire before the age of 60 with a guaranteed state pension. The state is in a financial death spiral with ground impact imminent. So keep this in mind as Governor Bruce Rauner breaks off contract talks with AFSCME, the state's largest public sector union. AFSCME has been unwilling to give on its demands for annual step increases of 3.8%, in addition to annual general wage increases. The lowball estimate of the cost of what AFSCME demands is $1.6 billion. That's $1.6 billion more from Illinois families who already pay the highest property taxes in the nation. This is Governor Rauner's moment of truth. He ran for office saying he is not a politician. He said he is a businessman who will make the difficult decisions to turn around the state he loves. We're about to find out if that's true. For more Upstream ideas, visit upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so you see this story, Amy? A Russian zoo named its new black goat Obama.
Oh, that's so rude.
How about that?
That is so rude.
It took a while to prepare the paperwork for Obama's move. Guarantees were required that Obama would bring no pests, that Obama has no tapeworms, said the director of the Russian zoo. He told NBC News that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would have, I don't know, goat. I guess that's an insulting term for Russians, someone who's, stubborn as a goat, obtuse or stubborn.
It's a way to send a message to President Obama.
Yeah,
that they don't really like him or
There's
respect
Obama
him.
right there.
Yeah. That's rude. There's kids in my kid's school named Obama, and it's a sign of honor.
It's Animal Farm. I mean, this is Animal Farm come to life. I like it. And, of course, Orwellian. I, though, would have waited for the new arrival of the donkey to name Obama.
I see what you're
jackass.
Saying. They're becoming like the scapegoats of this whole thing, and it's really unfair.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Did you know that if you have mutual funds in your IRA, 401k, or investment accounts, that according to Forbes magazine, you could be paying as much as 3.17% in hidden fees every single year?